Hello, everybody out there in podcast land. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. This episode is brought to you by G2 Paintball. G2 Paintball is back, and you guys should be incredibly excited. If you are in the area, in Arizona or anywhere on the West Coast, you want to make sure you do not miss this. Being in paintball shape is one of the most important things to being a top-level player. Not just a top-level pro, but a top-level player in any division. If you are trying to win tournaments, you want to be in the best physical condition possible. Paintball is so physically demanding. It requires so much of your physical ability, and G2 Paintball is designed to help you maximize that potential both on and off the field. G2 Paintball played a huge role in our World Cup win. It pays dividends to get out there and do these exercises, do these kinds of training. It is so difficult. It is very tough, but it's going to put you in position to win events, and that's what we're here to do. I teach this at all of my clinics. I always preach the importance of physical fitness in paintball ability. You can get all the way to the finals, but if you are only at 60% and a less talented, less skilled, less experienced team is at 90 or 100%, they are likely going to beat you. Do not let your physical ability be the reason you guys are not winning events. Get signed up for G2. If you guys are in the area, make sure you get active, get involved. It is owned and operated by Victor Gamboa and Rusty Glaze. You have players like Tyler Harmon, myself, Ryan Greenspan, all part of the entire G2 program. You guys can stay up to date with everything at g2paintball.com, and we hope to see you at an event very soon. We are brought to you by Heal Brand. Heal Brand is the best CBD company that we have ever come across. I've been taking CBD products for years now, and I absolutely love it. But Heal Brand has taken my CBD consumption level to the next tier. This stuff is really the luxurious, high-quality, best brand that you're going to come across. Their whole claim to fame is the nanotechnology. It's the real deal. The claim is that through their nanotechnology, the CBD can actually break through the cellular wall and get into the bloodstream much faster and more efficiently. So you need less to do more. Often CBD products, you'll need to take it for a couple weeks before you really start noticing all of the benefits. With this stuff, as soon as you take it, you notice it right away. Within 15, 20 minutes, you're feeling the benefits of CBD. CBD is great for inflammation, anxiety, sleeping, all sorts of different stuff. CBD is really exploding on the scene because it has such a wide variety of benefits. I personally love to use CBD before I go to bed so I can get a full, well-rested night of sleep. Sleep is so crucial. It's so important. If you want to recover well, if you want to fight off depression and anxiety and those unwanted emotions, proper sleep is where you need to start. CBD products really help me do that, and Heal Brand CBD has a wide variety of options of different products, different formulas. It is all natural. It's amazing. This stuff is fantastic. You guys can head over to healbrand.com, check them out, and there is an exclusive offer to all of our PTG listeners. If you use code PLAYTHEGAME at checkout, you'll get 10% off. This episode is brought to you by Transfuse. Transfuse is the only all-natural electrolyte drink that you guys need to have in your cabinets. We love this stuff. We've been using this for an entire season now. This stuff is amazing. I feel great when I drink Transfuse. I drink it every single day. I don't go a day without putting a packet of Transfuse in my water. It's very easy, very portable, easy to travel with, and delicious to drink, which means that you're going to love drinking it and you're going to drink more of it, which is going to be incredibly beneficial to your health. Has magnesium, potassium, sodium, which are all amazing for proper hydration. It has zinc, vitamin C, vitamin B, and choline. These things are incredible cognitive enhancers and immune boosting formulas that you don't want to miss out on, especially in times like this. I'm telling you, I drink Transfuse every single day. I love it. Tyler does as well. Anybody who has tried it has been just pouring with great feedback back to us. There's a reason that they're at all the NXL events, and a lot of the top teams and top professionals are using this product. Do not walk around dehydrated. I never realized how dehydrated I was, even when I was drinking all sorts of water. It's not enough. You need the proper nutrition. You need the right ingredients. Transfuse has done a great job of curating the perfect formula. Transfuse is absolutely spectacular, and for all of our listeners, there is a special deal for any Play the Game listener. If you head over to translabs.com, that's translabs.com, and use code PLAYTHEGAME at checkout, you will get 10% off. If you subscribe, which means they auto ship you your package every single month, whatever you want, whatever type, whatever flavor, whatever electrolyte formula you desire, they will give you an additional 11% off. So it becomes a 21% discount exclusively for all Play the Game listeners. Huge shout out, and we are incredibly thankful for our supporters And if you guys would like to go support them, it's translabs.com. Use code Play the Game. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. Lone Wolf Paintball is an online supplier that has been around for a very long time. They've actually been Michigan's premier paintball field and supplier since 1987. Now expanding into the online retail store, they are really trying to do their best to supply everything you need to the paintball community. They have it all. You get over to lonewolfpaintball.com. If you want Field 1, HK, GI, Dye, it doesn't matter. They got it. You can surf the website. You can check it out. They have what you need, guaranteed. And they also boast excellent customer service and same-day shipping. That's pretty badass. You could go to the website, order something, and it's going to be sent out that day. That's fantastic. That's amazing customer service. So again, guys, if you would like, you could head over to lonewolfpaintball.com. You could also check them out on YouTube and Instagram. Their Instagram is lonewolfpb, and their YouTube is Lone Wolf Paintball. And you can see and keep up to date with all their latest deals, their sales, their content. It's a lot of really fun stuff. Play the Game Podcast is excited to have them on board, and you guys should head over and become part of the community. All right, we're back at it, and this time we have Alex Arod Rodriguez from Edmonton Impact, also a former Golden Barrel winner, MVP, two-time MVP actually. He won the MVP award with Dynasty and with the LA Ironman, led them to that amazing victory in 2020 at the Las Vegas Open. Arod is a fascinating individual, so successful in so many different ways in paintball and music. Really cool to sit down and talk with him. He has a lot to talk about. This was a banger. So without further ado, we'll see.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon. Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game.
He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the one and only Alex Rodriguez with us. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, brother. You playing for Edmonton Impact, an absolute crusher on any instrument that you put him on, musically sound, paintball sound, and just an outstanding dude all around. Thanks for coming on the show, bro. How you doing?
Dude, Tyler, Marcelo, I'm doing
Yeah,
really
buddy.
well.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you for the words, man. That means a lot, sincerely.
Yeah.
So thank you, man.
Oh,
Of
man.
course.
You inspire a lot of us in paintball with your wild style of play, and you do so much too that, I don't know if a lot of people out there even know this, but musically you're absolutely dominating. You're always recording and doing a lot of really interesting things in that aspect as well. So we're excited to have you on and kind of pick your brain as to how you've become such a phenom on the field and everything that you're doing outside of paintball as well.
Hell yeah. I'm excited to be here. So thank you guys.
Totally. Yeah. Seeing how you've progressed through your musical journey has been amazing, dude. I feel like 5-6 years ago, to me at least, it seemed like you were just getting into it, and all of a sudden you were an absolute wizard. You were just practicing all the time, learning everything you can. And honestly, dude, I've told you this from the very first time. I was like, you're really good at playing music. Like, you just have an ear for it. I mean, I have your songs on my Spotify. Anytime you release some beats, like, I dig it. They're really cool stuff. So it's really interesting to me how you've found a way to whatever it is that you want to get good at. You've been able to do that throughout your whole career. And so that's why, honestly, I'm really excited to talk to you and go through your journey, because you do have a long story, an amazing story, and it's inspiration for a lot of people that I'm sure don't even know where you came from, how you got into this game and all that stuff, man. So again, like Tyler said, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Dude, thank you, man. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I turned 30 this year, and just kind of looking back on the last 10 years, like, holy crap. It's been wild, but it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, man.
Yeah, 30. Dude,
30.
when is
30,
your birthday?
30. It's October 19th, man. So
October 19th. I'm writing it on the calendar right now. We're partying. Me and A-Rod are, we're neighbors out here in Arizona. It's currently 100,000 degrees in the desert out here. I think more accurately, I think it's around 117 degrees today. So definitely makes for some good paintball training if you, as long as you wake up early and get that, that 8 a.m. 100-degree weather jog in there.
Exactly. Shout out to air conditioning.
Yeah.
Lifesaver.
Seriously.
Lifesaver.
Shout out to the AC one time.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's hot. But you know what? You're right. It is great for training. Because
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
reality is it seems like every event we go to is piping hot, humid. It's difficult conditions. So
Oh man,
Yeah.
well that's the one thing. You can't train for the humidity in Arizona. That's
right.
like
Yeah,
East Coast
for sure.
like man, East Coast and elevation. That's one thing that we don't get a lot of. So
Mhm.
I'm happy about it, but
I
at the
was-
same time, we'd be phenomenal athletes, I think, if we lived in those conditions.
Yeah.
So
I was actually just in Philly for the 10-man, and it was crazy hot. Like the humidity, the temperature, it was cooking out there. So I think it's going to be pretty dang hot coming up here for the NXL that we have in about a week and a half.
yeah.
Definitely bring your sunblock and your bucket hat. Stay out of the
Oh.
sun a little bit.
A lot of water in those Pedialyte packets or
Yeah,
those liquid
transfuse.
IVs.
Transfuse, baby.
You're right. Honestly, man. So like Steven, last WCPPL hooked me up with a box, and
Oh,
it's
nice.
not something that I used like regularly, but I felt like whenever I needed to, I'm like, I got that on deck. So like I'd drink
Yeah.
it, and honest, man, like no bullshit, dude. I think it's good, man. I like it. I don't have access to it on the regular, but whenever there's an opportunity, man, I do really like using it. I think it's a really good product.
Well, we got your back, bro. We know the guys and we work really closely, so we'll make sure we get you hooked up with some transfuse. Just as long as we're not playing Impact or anything like that, not for tournaments or anything like that, but just some
on the
friendly
side.
use when you go to the golf course. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple
Yeah,
packets here and
for the
there.
golf course. If you have a show, you got a gig or something, Friday
Yeah.
night in a hot, humid summer place, and you need to stay hydrated, make sure we got you back, dude. Actually, there's a drought right now. We're not going to have transfuse for a little bit. We're working on, getting some more transfuse in and setting some pre-orders up here pretty soon. But yeah, everyone loves it, man. Stuff's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's actually really good for the morning, next morning after shows and going out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's really good.
That too.
We advertise it too, like, hey, if you had a couple too many, this could possibly help you as well.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
You
hilarious.
got to play the game.
Yeah, play
Yeah.
the game, man. So how's everything been, dude? It's been a wild journey here up into the present moment. Have you been holding up okay? Hopefully you were good through COVID, and obviously we'll get into your lineage. But where are you at right now currently, and how's everything been with you?
Man, so I would say honestly, like the last, let's see, 3 or 4 years has just been absolutely insane. But like through COVID and all that, I stayed healthy. I would say I had a very productive 2020, despite just what was happening in the world. And as of recent, I've been incredibly busy, except for like the last couple of weeks is not by choice, but just I've had a lot of time to just kind of chill and reassess and think about stuff. And to answer your question, I'm actually in Wickenburg, Arizona right now. I live in Scottsdale. I moved from California earlier this year after being out there for about 10 years. And I'm in Wickenburg, which is a little really small town that pretty much you drive through if you're going to like Havasu or Las Vegas from Phoenix. And it's a horse community, a lot of old people, but really down to earth, just small town. Like nothing is going on at all. And it's my mom lives up here. My grandparents, while they were still here, own this house, and I've just been kind of coming up here to hang out with my mom for a little bit, and because living a state away, you don't really get to see your parents or whatever too often. So it's been nice spending time with her, and honestly, just kind of sitting out in the desert, looking at mountains, and just alone with my thoughts. And it's been really refreshing after the last after the last couple of years. It's been pretty wild. So yeah, I'm in a good spot
for sure. I love Arizona, dude. The landscapes out here are amazing. Yes, it is piping hot in the summertime, but the wintertime is truly the most beautiful winters you've ever seen. And I really respect that, Arod. Like, especially in today's day and age, being able to kind of go where nothing is going on is really refreshing and nice, because we're constantly bombarded left, right, up, down with our phones,
Yeah.
TVs, this, that, and the other.
Dude,
With
this thing
work
is
and life.
poison, man. This thing is poison. I
Yeah,
would
he's
throw
got
it
his.
off I would throw it off a fucking cliff if I could. But you can't.
He's got his phone in his hand for the YouTubers and for the listeners out there. So yeah, it is. It's nice to be able to just kind of just get out and be one with nature and be with your family. That's what life's all about, right there, man. I like that.
Hell yeah. And I mean, you moved out late last year with your fam, so I'm sure that that whole transition's been pretty it seems like it's been really good for you. You haven't had any complaints, it doesn't seem like. So
No, just the scorpions. A couple too many scorpions I've seen, but other than that, things have been
found
okay.
some scorpions out there?
There's been a couple. I'm not. Yeah, I'm like, no. Come on, guys, stay away from me.
would you rather
nice.
deal with scorpions or termites?
Well, I mean, I really like termites. I think they're pretty sweet. So, but yeah, it's the termites definitely will eat your house. So that's a catch there. Yeah, I definitely.
If you just had to hang out with them, like they weren't going to eat your house, you either hang out with a pile of termites or you could hang out with a bunch of scorpions. What are you going with?
I'm choosing the termites just because my wife is a Scorpio, so I already got a scorpion. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got enough of those. But yeah, dude, it has been wild, huh, Arod? It's been crazy times, and I didn't know that the world was going to shut down before I moved to Arizona. I moved out here, and then 2 weeks later, we got back from Las Vegas, and it was shut down. I remember Rusty helped me move into my house when I moved out here to Arizona. I left that same day that Rusty helped me, and then it all shut down. It was just crazy.
Who would have saw that coming?
Yeah,
that's great.
So definitely got lucky, because we were able to get into our apartment, or out of our apartment rather, and into a house with the kiddos and stuff, and it's been good. It's been really good. It's been crazy too, dude. I totally empathize with you and feel you on that, because the last couple of years have been a roller coaster for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you and the fam are doing well, and staying on top of the transition. It can. I know a lot of people that had a very, very difficult year last year. So the fact that we're doing this right now, and just the fact that we're here right now is amazing. So just super thankful and happy to be doing this with you guys. So for sure.
Yeah. And we all get to play paintball, which is a major blessing, man. It's so good for us on so many levels.
Dude, it's so crazy, man. It's not until recently that I really put into perspective how lucky we are about, being able to play paintball and compete at the level that we do, and travel, and the experiences that we've had, growing up. Because I mean, you see how the real world is, the real world, and
yeah, quote unquote.
I mean, I feel like if you can, if you're successful in paintball, once you kind of leave and you see how everything is out there in the real world, but one, it gives you an option to take everything you've learned from paintball and be extremely successful if you decide to apply yourself in the right way. And two, it reminds you that paintball is a significant thing, that regardless of the bad times and what might be going on and all the drama and all this really stupid things that can come about, the fact that we're doing it at the level that we do it at is just phenomenal. It's incredible. So a lot to be thankful for.
I think that's a powerful absolutely. I think that's a powerful thing with all sports. You can take a lot of lessons that are learned through sports and take them to the real world, and they can teach you how to deal with so many different things and how to achieve goals, achieve different, areas of whether you want to dominate the workforce, work your way up a ladder, or be good at a relationship. As funny as it sounds, sports really teach you to focus on all the little details and how to get to your end goal, and how to work collectively and be honest with yourself, because in sports, it's very rare that you can be dishonest with yourself and get the results that you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. That was well said, man.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be meticulous and dialing it all in. So, Arod, we all want to know, like, how did this all come about? How did you find paintball? How did paintball find you? What was the first experience for you? And how did that look? Was it a birthday party? We got a birthday party?
Oh, bro, I was actually gonna throw it out there. Like, I don't know what goes on in your Discord and stuff, but you guys should have like an over under or like a betting system for birthday parties or like first times, because it was a birthday party for me. 100%.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, actually, up in Splatter Ranch, which I think there's still a field, like North Scottsdale, borderline Cave Creek. Went out,
dude. I just went there and played a tournament out there.
No, dude, that was my first place, first time, man. Westworld Splatter Ranch. It was out in the desert, and holy crap, dude, it was unreal. How'd you like it up there? Is it still are people still going? Like, still a thing? Like, still a poppin' field or what?
There was a lot of people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and Brandon Unger actually set up this really cool field where he wrapped these cactuses with like this mesh. So we were playing on like a whole field of cactuses that were like wrapped, and then it was just like an old nostalgic feel to it. It was really cool, and you could tell that the field had been there for like a really long time.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy that you. Go ahead.
Arod, is that the field that we went to? I think there was two, right? We went to the indoor to do the clinic in like 2013. Is that the same owners?
Yeah, we went to the indoor. I'm sure. Okay. I don't know if it's the same owners anymore. I think, honestly, I've been really out of tune with
Gotcha.
Arizona paintball for a while, so I'm not sure. But that was they were sister locations. I don't know if the indoor's still around or not, but be worth looking into.
Gotcha.
But it's funny that you said you got this nostalgic feeling.
Awesome, man.
It is, man. And when you brought up the fact that it gave you like this nostalgic feeling, it was weird because the first time I ever played, actually just in Westworld in general, like, when you go to different fields, every field kind of has its own feeling. It has like this weird energy or vibe to it. And I remember the vibe to this field was just, it felt nostalgic. Like, I had never been there before, but it was like this thing, like, I don't know, it's maybe just, the universe telling me that I'm about to go on this wild journey and buckle up. But it was an amazing time. Went out for my buddy Alec Heinrich's birthday. I think I was in 8th grade at the time, and he had I think he had played like once or twice before, and he's like, "Bro, you got to come out." And I'm like, "Hell yeah, it's your birthday. We got to celebrate." And he had like these hockey jerseys and stuff that we threw on, and just went out and got a case of paint, rental gear, and definitely I think I shot a couple people, but definitely got worked by some like military looking dudes. Everybody's first time of like the military guys or the dudes that are dressed up in camo or just way too serious, smashing on kids and stuff. But I loved it, man. Just like the adrenaline rush and just, everything that's got us hooked on paintball. So man, it was a lot of fun. So that was that was the first time. And that was September.
Dude, everyone remembers their first time going out to the paintball field, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. You remember what month?
Yeah. So I remember it really vividly because actually, no, first time was, I think, May or June of 2006. And then I was hooked and then just started like looking into everything paintball wise. And then a couple months later, I went to the indoor location, Westworld. And then after that, I remember it coincided with paintball was on TV. It was on ESPN. And I had my DVR, and it was that tournament from 2005 that I forgot what Miami or something. So it was cool because I wasn't really able to play paintball that much, but I was watching it and I was researching the hell out of it, like just DVRing everything and just like watching it. And honestly, I'm super fortunate that it was actually on TV, because if it wasn't, I actually don't know if I would be here today, because I'd be like, "Yo, Dad, come check this out. Mom, yo, check this out. Like, these guys are doing it professionally." And like, it was cool because the way that they broke everything down is like, it was post-production, but they showed like the lanes that people were shooting and like these graphics and stuff. And then just the personalities on each team. And I remember, Dynasty, Naughty Dogs, Excessive, like everybody. And I was actually, I think my favorite team watching was like the Hurricanes. I thought, for whatever reason, just the way that Maddie or, whoever was putting it together, they were like the new kids and stuff like that.
That would be your favorite team.
No, it was, dude, it was cool, man. Like they were wild. I remember like, at the time watching like Billy and Mantoni and I think Danny Savoy or something like that. No, like I thought it was badass. Like it was just, yeah, dude. It was badass to watch. It was really cool. So it was one of those things that I was, I played sports my entire life, and a lot of it was, baseball at a very, very competitive level, like tennis, martial arts and stuff. But it was always through like my dad and stuff. So like, it was like, I loved it, but it was like, that's the kind of direction he was kind of guiding me in. But this was like my chance to do my thing. Like playing paintball, I kind of discovered it on my own. And I was like, damn, this is a lot of fun. Like, this is a blast. Like, this is crazy. And the fact that you can be professional at it, like, holy shit. Like, this is wild. So, yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Dude, Arod, real quick, I just kind of want to set the scene for people. You're sitting here with us right now. Just came off an event when you, in 2020, led the Ironmen, who nobody thought was going to have a chance at winning an event. You led them to a win. You got the MVP, the Golden Barrel. You have put yourself in position to be one of the few players in the league that are sought after by the teams that are willing to pay their players. And for the listeners, and honestly, it's up to you how far down this road we go, but I think it's one of the most inspiring stories of things you can overcome, because as we get into your journey, I think the listeners can really learn a lot from where you came from and how you overcame different obstacles to put yourself in this position. I mean, really against all odds, and that's something that I've always told you, I've always admired you for the stuff that you've done to put yourself in position to make this dream a reality. So again, for the listeners, as Arod sits here with all this success, I hope you guys really tune in and listen to this journey, because it should inspire you guys, because if he could do it, honestly, pretty much anybody can go out there and do it. There's no excuses. And you've proven that over and over, both in paintball and actually in music. I kind of touched on it a little bit, and I'm sure we'll get into that as well, but just want to set the tone for your success in this game and what you've accomplished so far. And obviously we know you're not finished, but so excited to jump back in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have a lot of time. We've been talking about doing this for, probably since you guys have started actually
Just
doing this production.
Early.
Yeah.
And, some of you guys are hard to get, man. It's like, deep sea fishing, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't.
Yeah. Well, timing's everything. And, just the way everything works, it wasn't the right timing, but now just, everything seems like it's, it should be spoken about. And I've had a lot of time to think about it, put things into perspective. And honestly, the reason coming on here has been a lot like, well, one, clearing the air. I think that's a huge thing, especially the last couple of years. I just haven't had a chance to do it unless we've been in person and you've asked me. I haven't really gone out of my way to share my story. But two, like you said, Marcelo, I'm a pretty self-aware individual. So I do realize that where I came from and my story is very uncommon. And, I think a decision here or there could have definitely been a make or break for me. And I, for whatever reason, just lucked out and was super fortunate with the people that I met and just my work ethic, and allowed me to get to the point where I'm at now. And if I think the biggest thing, hopefully after today, is, there's just one person out there, one kid, adult, whatever, that, if I say something and it resonates with them and it helps them to become better, to chase something, whether it's paintball, music, a business, an idea, that it would have made for a successful podcast and doing this, So I really hope that through me, hopefully, somebody gets inspired to be great, to be better, and to do something, because I've had a lot of people do that for me through music and, through paintball, actually. and just life in general. We need that, to keep pushing. So yeah, excited about this.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, and we can't stop watching your journey, bro. It's amazing what you've been able to accomplish. Like Marcelo said, I should have introduced you better, but yeah, you're the Golden Barrel winning, current champion from the last tournament, and you've really done so much in your time with paintball. And I do want to kind of regress a little and go into your kind of grassroots again and your upbringing, and just kind of tell your story of how things came to be. I know it wasn't easy, and I think that our listeners can also get a lot of value from hearing that the truths of reality of everything that you've been through. But if we could just kind of go, I know that you played your birthday party, and then how did things kind of progress out of there in your timeline?
All right, so I was like May, June of 06, and then I played again at the indoor at like August. I think like late August. Mm-hmm. And then after my second time playing, went with my buddy Alec and another friend, Justin Combs. I'm like, yo, we need to start playing this. There's tournament style, like this recreational stuff is cool, but like we got to get where the action is. Like we need to get onto like these sup airfields or whatever. And did a Google search, and there was this field called 23 BPS. They're no longer a field, but it was the premier field at the time in Arizona. And
23 BPS, that's fast,
dude. Yeah, and dude, it was wild. It was such a shock because I had gone from Westworld and like the badasses were like the military dudes and like the older guys just picking on kids to like you go here and holy crap, like there's Team United, there's One Up Kids, there's Sniper Force, and like these are all for the listeners like old school MPPL teams, like from 2005, 2006, back when MPPL was still a thing. And I just remember, dude, they were shooting like uncapped semi. They were just rocking their guns and like just 7-man. There's like that feeling of a 7-man breakout that I don't think, I mean, you and I, we all understand it, but like a true 7-man breakout where everyone's gunned up and there's 14 guns off the break shooting like unlimited. Like there's this feeling about it. Like, holy crap. Like this is crazy. This is wild. And it was just like, it was a shock just kind of going and playing and sneaking in, just getting beat up on. And we loved it. And we're like, man, we gotta start a 3-man team. There was like a local Young Gun series thrown by a store called Arizona Paintball Depot at the time. And we signed up, and this was September 2006. So we signed up for this Young Guns tournament. It was 3-man, 14 under, 15 under, 14 or 15 under. And what was sick about it, it was at night. So our like fourth time playing, it was a tournament. It was under lights. And I'm not going to lie, dude, I was scared shitless. I've never played at night before, let alone in a tournament and stuff. And like fourth time playing paintball, and dude, I just remember like it was just so wild. Like the adrenaline was just, I wish I could feel that again, because it was something I've never experienced like since then. It was just so vivid, man. And I just remember like you just see flashes going by, and then like, what do I do? And then like it just felt like everybody was shooting at you, and you're just kind of standing with your gun down, like figuring out like, yo, what's going on? You can't even communicate or talk. And then I don't know if we even won a game, but it was wild. It was the best. It was so much fun.
Hell yeah.
And
dude, that's awesome.
So yeah, from there, and kind of, I'd always been competitive in sports. So I was like, all right, how do we get better? How do I keep improving? Right. Because there wasn't like,
you don't say you competitive. No.
There wasn't outlets for I don't know, like I was so used to, because I played very like a high level of baseball growing up, and it was like if you wanted to do it, like, you know, there's travel leagues, there's camps, there's all these things that you could go to. And paintball, I was just like, yo, where's the training facility? Where can I go work on my shot during the week? Like, who can I hire to help me out?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that. So I kind of had to add in, like, very early on, like, you know, right as I started, I'm like, I have to teach myself, and I have to like look at people and emulate them, and, you know, try to ask them for help. Some people were helpful, some people weren't, you know, and kind of had to, you know, figure that out for myself. And I think it was the way that it needed to be, but it really kind of taught me more of a self-reliance of like, okay, this is how I get better at something on my own. And I didn't really have a road to navigate. So it was like, remember there was this dude, shit, I'm back in Arizona, so I gotta hit him up and see what he's doing, because I know he's still out here, but his name is John Logan. And that was the first guy that I remember really took me under his wing and was like, all right, kid, this is how you play paintball. Because, you know, I would go into the store and, you know, always like just hang out until, you know, it was closing, and they would kick me out and stuff, and just completely nerding out on paintball. And I remember, I would show up on the weekends, and he would be like, all right, follow me. And we'd go out onto the rec field when people weren't playing. And literally he would just say, okay, your goal for this week is to learn how to load pods. So he'd teach me how to hold my gun up and load at the same time while shooting, while talking. And I remember just going home, and I'll be like, all right, so I got to perfect this weekend. And then, you know, during the week, literally it would be at home with a pot of paint, learning how to keep my gun up and load it, and just completely fail. Paint would go everywhere. My mom would be like, the fuck are you doing? Like, and I just, you know, I'm like, I'm practicing. And she's like, all right, whatever. And clean it up, do it again. And for the most part, it was like this weekly check-in of like, all right, this is your task, come back, and, you know, I'll show you more. And I was fortunate that he would do that with me, and I got to learn really quickly. And another thing is I played a lot. I would play twice a weekend and really try to just get better and improve upon things. So I have a lot.
Hey, Arod, how did you hustle to get the paint and like entry, you know, and manage those kind of things? Because I know that's a common thing that a lot of people go through trying to navigate. So maybe you could give some insight on that.
So at least then I grew up, I had an interesting story growing up, but at that moment in time, my mom helped me out tremendously. My mom and my stepdad. So
awesome.
I was very fortunate that they allowed me to do these things, right? So they helped me get paint, you know, they helped funded basically everything and drove me around, you know, when I was 14, 15 years old. So I will say that I was incredibly lucky at that point in my life to where I had that support from, you know, my mom to do that. Because if I didn't, I don't think I probably wouldn't be here right now, for sure. You know, I don't think I had the wherewithal to, you know, get a job that young or I might have figured it out. I don't know. But just thinking about how I was the type where I was like super focused on one thing and everything else didn't matter. So I had tunnel vision, basically. So
well, that's what family's all about, dude. They lift us up, and they, you know, from an outside perspective, they can probably see how much you love it and how good it is for you. So when they see that kind of stuff, they want to help you too. They want to help you be the best that you can be. So that's what you know. Thank God for family, and don't ever, you know, we can't take it for granted, because there's so many people out there that don't have those types of things, and we're very fortunate. I know all of us, you know, had some help with our family helping us play paintball, and it definitely had a huge impact on our lives.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely wouldn't be here without the fan bam. So
for sure.
I have a lot to say thanks for, man.
Yeah. Straight up. Me too. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was now thinking back on it, yeah, I was super fortunate that basically I had the ability to work towards something that I really, really wanted to do and had the backing for it. There's so many people that I think have the fire and the drive, but just they don't have it. They don't have that support. So they have to figure out ways and get creative in order to chase it. But at the end of the day, it's like it's the talent versus hard work argument, right? Like if you have everything that you need set there for you, are you going to take the opportunity to make it happen? Or if you have the cards stacked against you, are you going to do what it takes to make it happen? It doesn't really matter in the end. Like you could have all the handouts and hand ups in the world, but if you don't have work ethic, it doesn't matter. But at the same time, you could have all the work ethic in the world and not have the backing. But then you would have to think outside the box to make it a reality. So every situation is super unique. And at the end of the I'm probably going to say at the end of the day a lot. I've been trying to work on it, but I've been told multiple times. I say at the end of the day. But
they're different days, though. At the end of this day, at the end of that day, at the end of the day, dude, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm with
you. At the end of the day,
it's all the same.
You just need to make it work. Whatever your situation is, you just handle. So
yeah. Well, I know, like, all of us kind of started pretty young. And thank God that, we had, our mom or our dad that was like, yeah, we'll buy you a couple bags of paint. You can go play some paintball and, you keep your grades up and you stay out of mischief and we'll help you out. But it's all about the choices. Cause, I turned pro when I was 13 years old. So
holy crap. No,
yeah,
I know you went young, but that young, holy shit.
Yeah. That's when I got on Bob's team, was when I was 13. And, my parents, obviously, I couldn't drive when I was 12 or 13 even, but they helped me and, nurtured me in those first couple of years to where I was able to get sponsored. And then I had a full sponsorship, at a young age and was able to, play a lot more. But it was that grit mentality, even from a young age. I didn't realize that I was doing it, but I was just hyper focused on accomplishing the goal of, attaining knowledge of paintball and, essentially getting into the 50s. That's what is going to take you to success. You got to be able to get in those 50s and shoot people out and make big moves and win paintball games. If you're not doing that and you're hanging back and, thinking that, teams are just going to come and pick you up and everything's going to, be a dream come true, it's just not going to happen. You got to really be attacking the field. So all of us, we are attackers, and that's what it takes. You got to be attacking life, and then things will start to blossom for you when you put that effort forward. It opens doors.
Yeah. Doors don't really open if you don't knock.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to be really loud, obnoxious.
Sometimes you got to kick that door in.
Yeah.
Don't wait for somebody to open that shit yourself.
Yeah,
there we go.
Say sorry later.
Yeah. Say sorry later. Yeah. I've been really bad about that. As I get older, I'm like, stop with the permission stuff. Just say sorry later. I definitely, there's a fine balance of not spending too much time trying to please so many other people and spending more time, trying to make sure that you please yourself. But you want to do it in a way where you don't step on certain people or do it in the wrong way. But it's a fine balance. And I know a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people out there, it leads to depression. People that try to constantly do stuff for other people and make other people happy, they forget about themselves, and then the person that is focused on keeping themselves happy gets shamed for it. It's a really funny world we live in where we put these pressures and we put people in these little boxes, these corners that they can't really fight out of. It's tough.
Yeah. We see it in business all the time too, in a lot of the corporate world, it is like that. And it's a juggling act to, navigate all that kind of stuff. And the best thing that you can do is just stay pure of heart and, have empathy for others and try to help and be the best teammate that you can be in those environments. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of different circumstances at play that are going on.
Bro, that balance is like grabbing a snake by the head and trying to sing it to sleep while it not, biting you in the neck. Dude, like that balance is ridiculous. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's just the way that the world is, man. And there's definitely forces greater than us and it's just like it's like this constant thing of trying to figure it out. And once you figure it out, you stand upon the mountain, you just look over the horizon, and you're just like, man, this is badass. And then you take a step and you're rolling down this hill that's rocky, and just, you get scuffed up, and you got to work your way back up. And it's this constant, choose your metaphor, but wave that whatever, and Marcella, you said it very well. It's a fine balance. It's a fine balance that, I don't think we'll ever truly be masters of. We're always going to be fighting for it. And along that, mistakes are made, successes are made, and it's just a part of the story. So, yeah, it's wild.
It is
super wild,
truly. So I want to know more about your wild climb into tournament paintball.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
All right. So yeah, getting around October, November, I'd been playing 3-man tournaments and like every weekend that was possible. And going into, December and January, the guys that I was playing with were just kind of fading out of it a little bit. Just we were about to start, let's see, in 2000, what year was that? 2006 was that in? I think I was in high school or just starting high school. And so one of my homies played, really competitive hockey. Another one was kind of like just having fun. And, I was kind of balancing baseball at the same time, but obviously I was going to make the decision to play paintball. And it kind of got to the point where they're like, I don't know if we're going to do this. So I'm like, all right, well, if there's an opportunity, I'm going to try to find a team. So I hopped on a forum at the time called PBAZ. I don't think it's still around, but it was like PB Nation, but for Arizona paintball. And it was cool, man. Yeah. It was just like all the locals and a bunch of people talking shit and just like, just trolling on the forums. And, every once in a while you'd learn something, but you kind of kept in the loop. It was like a congregation of just like everybody, to where it's just like you had sub forums and all that stuff. And I remember I saw a post and it was like Ghetto Smurfs looking to play D4 5-man PSP 2000 seasons. Ghetto Smurfs, baby. Shout out, dude. So
Ghetto Smurfs. That's right. I couldn't remember the name. I was in the intro. I was gonna say I remember a Smurf something. I couldn't remember what it was. Yeah. Ghetto Smurfs. That's right.
The Ghetto Smurfs.
Dude. It was sweet. They were they were from Tucson. Tyler, you know where Tucson's at, right? It's like hour and a half south of us. And so I hit up the guy. His name was David Shin, and I sent him a message and I'm like, yo, how are tryouts gonna work and all that. And I remember he was so I thought it was interesting. He was just so kind of arrogant on it. He was like, "Oh, we're gonna be there, on Sunday, and blah blah blah." And are you familiar with the team's history? And I'm like, "No, not really." And he's like, "I suggest you look into it." And I'm like, "Okay." So I looked, and it's like they played like 3-man, Young Guns tournaments and stuff. Which at the time I'm like, "Oh, these guys are badass." They played out of state. They played XBSL. Like these guys are making it happen. So I was like, "Okay." So then we go out 23, we play for the day and then end up just having a lot of fun. I don't think there were too many competitive teams out there. So it was just me and another buddy went out and we both made the team, and was talking with them, and they're like, yeah, so here's the plan. We're going to play D5 or D4 5-man on PSP all of 2007. And, we all have the backing to do it from our parents. And we were all like 14 or 15. We're like right there. Like nobody was 16. Nobody could drive. Nobody could do anything. So yeah, we were about that age. Yeah. the plan was we play like every other weekend or every weekend. I don't remember, but we played quite a bit. And just getting ready for it, it was tough because at the time, it was X ball, right? It wasn't matches. It was more MPPL style to where you'd play 8 prelim matches and stuff like that. But in Arizona, it was like strictly MPPL. Like it was all 7-man, right?
Yeah.
There's no 5-man. So that was the weird thing about Arizona back in those days. It's just like, you would have to practice 7-man and then go play PSP at, the league at the time, before NXL for all the, new guys in the, in the game. And, it was this weird thing. Like there was this weird stigma, like X ball was kind of, for the, for Nancy's, that was the stigma, right? There weren't any X ball teams from Arizona. Nobody played PSP. Everybody played 7-man. You at the time, like I said, Team United was playing semi-pro. Then you had One Up Kids who had just like won a D3, series championship. So those guys were the gods, right? Like those guys were they were the shit. Those, like, everybody looked up to them and, kind of feared when you played them, like, oh man, like we got to play them in 7-man and all that. And, we get run up on, but it was a cool learning experience. So, it was just, now actually thinking about it, because I haven't thought about this in a while, but it was super weird playing 7-man and then going back to X ball, going uncapped semi to having to, play 15 balls a second ramping, it was wild. And,
dude, that was, yeah. I mean, that's like Tyler and I mean, that was the norm, right? We'd go back and forth from pro events throughout the season. You're playing 7-man, then going to uncapped X ball events. It was a weird transition, but I actually think that is a huge, like, you can tell the players that went through that era, I think, because I think those players are more versatile. They understand how to play. It was such a variety of styles of play. You were forced to adapt and play a different game. And so your mind is already working on how to adapt, how to look at the fields differently, how to see different variables, like I think that was a great time. I loved when we were going back and forth from 7-man to X ball. I wish we still had 2 leagues, to be honest. I wish we still had it.
Sick. That would be awesome, man. And I don't think, I don't really know why MPPL went under. I'm sure there was a lot of reasons, but I thought it was a phenomenal league. Like there was something about those tournaments that was just like unparalleled, especially compared to today. Obviously those were the glory days of paintball, but yeah, 7-man was sick. It would be really cool to do a 7-man tournament, especially with the rosters that we have nowadays.
Yeah,
man, it would be a lot of fun. So
yeah, it was crazy going back and forth from the different styles. Like you had to go like this methodical 7-man, X ball was all coaching, 7-man obviously no coaching, and then the rate of the guns, the skill of having to pull the trigger and then not pull the trigger when you go to one league or the other. It was just, it was
the size of the field, the bunkers were different shaped, It was so many different variables. It was badass. You really learned a lot of different types of paintball.
Truly. Yeah.
Looking back, it was probably one of the best educations that I had, even though I never really competed in 7-man tournaments. Here few here and there, but nothing like consistent. Like our main focus was playing D4 in the PSP league, and but looking back on it, I think the education was really, really good. Like,
absolutely,
So
of course,
more paintball. That's the motto.
More paintball.
Yeah.
Legitimately, if you're focusing on what you need to be focusing on and you play more, you will get better, and it will lead to better things. So so we play our first tournament and absolutely got shit stomped. PSP LA 2007 on that turf, that super slippery turf.
Home Depot Center.
And man, I remember my first point ever that I played. We were playing this team, and we were on APPA. We're looking at these cats like, man, this guy's 37, this guy's 40. Like, this guy's played how many tournaments? And, we're 14, 15, green as hell. And first point, I was running to the corner, And I remember it was like a mini X out in the corner. And like, you know, I wasn't really a corner player, but for whatever reason, I was the guy going out to the corner at that point. And I remember just the clock counting down and just that feeling of like, okay, we're here. Like, we're playing national tournaments. Everything kind of like, it was like that moment of everything kind of comes together. And ran out to the corner, overslid it about 7 feet, somehow got back into the bunker, just started shooting my gun, didn't even like look inside the entire time, just shoot. And then all of a sudden I just got smoked like 8 times in the side of my head.
Oh.
And I was like, what the fuck just happened? And then I got up and they had like 5 people alive and they just ran in the flag. And I just kind of looked around and we had these white Ghetto Smurf jerseys that were just white and blue, but predominantly all white. And from like the slide and just getting shot, like I was just orange already. And I just kind of was looking around like, this is fucking awesome. This is the shit. Like, I just got smoked down, but like where I'm at, the Home Depot Center at a national tournament, like, holy crap, this is tight. So I think we lost every single game. I think we got second to last place. And it was, we got smoked.
It was a rough day. It was a rough day for the Smurfs.
It was a rough day for the Smurfs, man. So,
yeah. But still fun, you know?
Oh, dude, it was the best, man. Driving out to California and just hanging out. You know, what was cool is David's dad, Greg Shin, he would always book us at Marriott's. So like one of the cool things was, I mean, we were too young, but like the happy hour, right? We couldn't drink, but just like the snacks and all that, we'd always just kick it in the lobby and stuff. And we would run through the hallways, play hide and seek, like in those cool corridors. And like, it was awesome, man. It was really exceeded every expectation that I had, just thinking about like, what would it be like going to a tournament and just doing it with people my age. And, you know, we developed a friendship throughout the year, you know, and it was unparalleled to anything I've done before in life, because, you know, I played in like a baseball World Series to where we traveled to like New York and we were like the top 8 teams in the country. And like, it was like a huge deal and stuff, but it was weird because like that was one of the pinnacles of like baseball and stuff, like experiencing that. But there's just something about paintball that was on a different level. And it was just like, okay, cool. So got that out of the way. What's next? Mm-hmm. And I remember through the D4 season, we just kept working. And, you know, the next tournament we made Sunday. Then, you know, the next tournament after that, we went from just making Sunday to where we won, because we got to Ochos, got knocked out. And then we won Ochos. And then in Chicago, we made it to quarterfinals. And then River City, we got like 5th place. Nice. And then the last tournament, World Cup, there was like 128 teams in D4-5, man. Like, it was incredible. And it was a World Cup. And it was 2007. Like, I heard 2006 was probably one of the better World Cups, like probably the best World Cup of all time. And 2007 was still pretty badass. Like, I remember at the old location at Disney, we were playing on fields that was past the road, like almost what it felt like a mile out in the boonies. But it was a crazy event. And we ended up getting 5th place again out of 128 teams, our last event. And we had kept pretty much the same roster. We were all, I think some of us had turned 16 at that point, but we were all 14, 15, 16 years old. And we stuck with it, which I think there's something to be said about that. Like, just sticking with it. Like, it doesn't matter how you start, just stick with it and just keep going and going. Yeah. And, so it was cool. It was a fun first year, and especially just getting fresh into it. Like, I was, you know, I'd only played paintball a couple times and I'm like, all right, yeah, let's play national events. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like,
long,
what's up?
How long were you a ghetto Smurf for? You'll forever be a ghetto Smurf to me now.
Oh, for
forever.
Sure. Dude, no, man. Forever, dude. Ghetto Smurfs, like, that's my roots, man. You know, and we kept the team together for 2 years. Nice. D4 and D3. D3 X-Ball. The transition to X-Ball was a lot different. We had to get more people, and then with more people on the team comes more logistics, more personalities. more headache and stuff. And there was a lot of things kind of going on, I think, in everybody's life. You know, you turn 16 and, you know, you're in high school, and, you know, certain things like distractions, and, you know, like if you're not super about paintball, like if it's just fun and you're not really wanting to take it to the next level, you know, it's kind of just there. And there was only a couple of us that wanted to keep pushing. So that was the unfortunate part. But past that, you know, we finished out the 2 years. So D4 5-man and then D3 X ball. And then in that off season, it was actually the first time I had to let the boys know that I was going to be going elsewhere to look at other opportunities to play, you know, and compete at a higher level. And, you know, and this time I had met some really great people. Like I definitely have to shout out, you know, people that helped me, especially in 2008, like Matty Cole, old school Aftermath guy. You know, I remember, you know, just watching Aftermath videos and stuff. And then Matty Cole shows up to the field and he's just like wearing an Aftermath jersey. I'm like, yo, bro, how do I do that? How do I do what you did? You know, how do I get there? So he would help me out. And midway through 2008, and this is a very important start, or very important, you know, point in the story. I met a guy named Daryl Hudnall. Do you guys remember CP Custom Products?
Absolutely.
You remember Black Daryl, big guy, the driver for CP?
Yeah, I do.
Absolutely.
So he moved out to Arizona, and we were playing, and he had just moved from Texas, and we were at the field, and then I had heard that he would go out to California on the regular. And I'm like, well, who are you with? And he would say, you know, he told me his backstory. And then he's just like, yeah, you know, I work with the team out in Southern California. Their name is Velocity Wrecking Crew. And I'm like, really?
Shout out to Wrecking Crew.
Shout out to kids. Shout out to Wrecking Crew. And I just picked his brain and ended up just carpooling with him every single opportunity I had to go out to California and start playing midway through 2008. And that was a pretty wild experience as well. And I started to realize like the dream was becoming closer and closer, because when I first started, well, not when I first started, but I would say the beginning of 2008, when I started playing X-Ball and going to these pro tournaments, the Ironman was the team for me. You know, I had one of my holy grails and like my Bible was Heroes for a Day.
Yeah.
That Monkey with a Gun video.
Absolutely.
I think it was Monkey with a Gun. And I'd watch it every day. And I would plead with my mom. I'm like, this is what I could do. Like, just let me stick with it. And, you know, some stuff happened in my personal life with my stepdad to where I had to, I actually had to drop out of high school in order to take care of him, because he had a brain tumor and was completely like paralyzed after surgery. And his part of his family was going to put him in a home and stuff. And at the time, him and my mom were kind of rocky and not really having a relationship, but he was like a dad to me. So one of the things, he didn't want to go to a home. So my mom offered, and, you know, I also said I'd do it, but like to help rehabilitate him, you know, at the time.
That's amazing, man. Wow.
So
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was pretty, looking back on it, you know, it's crazy to think about, but yeah.
It's heavy stuff for a kid.
Yeah, dude. And the one thing, he owned his own business and stuff, and he saw how much I love paintball, and he was like, you know, I know that you want to do a lot with this, and I really appreciate you. I know we're not even blood and stuff, but like you doing this, like I want to help you out as much as possible. Like whatever you need help with, I got you. So he would give me an allowance to be able to go to California with Daryl every weekend, drive out, you know, and just experience it and get better and just follow my dream at that point, you know, because I would say, you know, pretty early on, I was like, I want to be a professional paintball player. I saw it on ESPN. You know, Heroes for a Day impacted my life like no other. And I was just like, I want to do this. I don't care what needs to happen, but I'm going to do this. And
how long have you been playing when you realized that?
Shit, a couple months. Whenever,
Yeah.
honestly, I think it was kind of ingrained. Like it started to bloom in my mind when I was watching it on SportsCenter on ESPN. And then when I saw Heroes for a Day, of that really broke down the process of like, this is what it's like to have a team. This is what it's like to travel with these guys. This is what it's like to have tournament or, turnovers and how, antics at tournaments and practice and preparation. Like it broke down everything. So I suggest any players that are wondering like what the deal is, in a way, like go watch Heroes for a Day. Like that to me was my Bible, and that really broke it down of like, okay, well, this is how you go about it. This is how you got to train and do this. And so it was pretty early on. It was, because I made sacrifices right away for it. I was like, this is what I want to do. And there weren't those resources in Arizona. And I remember the day, because I used to watch those like Raza videos, like Stealth Media, like the Soldier Boy Aftermath video playing Entourage and all that. And like the old school Raza days that I never got to experience, but only as like a viewer. So I'm like, okay, that's where I need to be. This is what I need to do. I just got to do it. So by any means necessary.
Dude, that's my coach, Todd.
T-Mar.
he's the man,
Tizzle.
dude. T-Money. Yeah, Cash Money.
So
That's
yeah, pretty
rad,
early
dude.
on. Yeah, early on I really got going. And so end of 2008, broke, split with Ghetto Smurfs. And then from there, had a couple options. Velocity Wrecking Crew didn't really want me at the time because I was a big boy. I was like 250, 260. So I was pretty big, and I was still athletic, but obviously like I think it's just subconscious, and it also, there is weight to it, no pun intended, but if you see somebody that's big, you discount them. I think that's just the way it is. For whatever reason, one, because it is unhealthy to be as big as I was, and two, like it doesn't fit the imagery of what you would feel. Because I think we all have, we look at somebody and be like, yeah, that guy's athletic, that guy can do it, that guy has style and stuff. But I wasn't any of those. But I could play on the field. I had really good gun skills, and I knew how to maneuver. So it was this constant thing of like, I would, we'd go out and practice them, like VWC, or Velocity Wrecking Crew. And, I'd have good points against them, but I would do things that would be like, oh, that guy's cheating. Like that guy can't do that. So they had in their mind that I was a cheater and didn't really have the skill that I had. So it was this constant thing of like, kept knocking on the door. Yo, can I come? And nah, man, party's not for you. And then ended up playing with Palm Beach Vipers for the first event of 2009. Funny enough, they were doing an open tryout. So me and my buddy David flew out to Florida. We're talking with Ken and ended up playing on like a Division II team, Palm Beach Vipers Black, kind of a throw together of all the tryouts and stuff, and competed. And actually, a funny, I think Jesse Stevens was on that team.
Oh wow!
No way.
Yeah, I remember this guy Mike Moody. He would talk about Jesse, and I'm pretty sure he was. I'd have to go back. Some of these things are fuzzy. It's been so long,
Mm-hmm.
But I think Jesse was on the team. I could be completely wrong though. But we played the 2009 Phoenix event in D2. We got last place. Got dead last. And
It's hard to do.
yeah, man. Yeah. So we got dead last, and then I hit up. Actually, I didn't hit up this time. Finally, they reached out, but Velocity Wrecking Crew was going through some turnover, and I guess they had watched me play, and they're like, all right, we need a player, for these next tournaments. So then I finally got the opportunity to go out to California and not just watch or like practice them, but play with them. And the badass part about that is we got to play the Ironman a lot.
Nice.
And even if we didn't play them, we got to watch them play Dynasty, and do all that. So all of 2009 every weekend. And I'm not bullshitting. Like every single weekend. Like what are there 54, 55 weeks in a year or 52, something like that?
52.
I went over
52.
40. I went over 45 weekends driving out to California.
Wow.
Daryl and I would go back and forth. So the way it would go down is we leave Friday morning, 6 hours, get there, set up the field either Friday late afternoon or early Saturday morning for the Ironman. Watch Ironman do their thing all day on Saturday for the most part. They were playing like, Dynasty or whoever they might be playing, Infamous. And then at the end of the day, maybe get a couple points in or just get in between sets. Same thing on Sunday. Then we tear down the field and then drive back. And then the week would go by and do the same thing over again. So it's like.
And how long did you do that for?
Shit.
Like a year, 2 years?
Basically 2009 to 2010. So probably about a year and a half, 2 years maybe, because I moved to California late 2010. So about a year and a half.
How pivotal was that for your development? How pivotal was it to see, that kind of paintball and be able to digest that kind of gameplay for you?
So have you guys ever been, besides paintball, have you ever been in environments where you got to be around true professionals at their craft on a regular basis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know, I know you guys would have had to have picked up okay, so it kind of demystifies things, right? Yeah. You're always constantly in your head, like, how do I do this and stuff? And then you get around the greatest, and you guys did it in paintball. Like, I think the reason you guys had success early on is because you had that around you, right? It's like if you go into a system that's already successful, they kind of mold you in a way to be great out the gate. And it helps you not waste time mucking around with, things that aren't right. You don't develop bad habits. You learn the game properly and, learning from a professional. So, I was fortunate that I was able to get around. Who you're
surrounded with is so.
On that too, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, Rod. Yeah. Who you're surrounded with is so important no matter what it is, And so, of course, we talk about it frequently, man. Who we were able to grow up in the game with totally expedited the entire process, made the path wide open for us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's actually one of the funny things about music and why I feel we'll touch on that later, but get yourself surrounded by greatness right out the gate. Search for it. And honestly, now that's the age of the internet, it's there. And what you guys do with BKI and just other, programs that are available, and the fact that you can literally DM somebody, be like, yo, what up? How do I do this? And sometimes, they'll respond and sometimes they won't. And, you have access to that. So yeah, the sooner that you can get around people that know what they're doing at a professional, and I mean professional level, like, it's not bad. You always should be around people that are better than you. But if you can get to the guys that are doing it and that where you want to be, that's ideal. Because then you cut out a lot of the, the stuff in between. So yeah, Tyler, it was huge. Like I attribute, almost everything to that. Because if I would have stayed in Arizona, I would have probably been just like a T3, D2 player.
Yeah, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't something that you just got to, go and run around the corner and see the top players in the world. You worked really hard, and you even set up the field, for them to play on, and would get points in when you could and all that kind of stuff. But I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that you sacrificed a lot, man. That's a lot of weekends to have the drive and determination to position yourself in the right area in order to learn and get noticed and give yourself the best chance at this thing. It didn't just happen for you. You were creating the process for yourself,
Yeah. And, for better or for worse, like I had tunnel vision. Like if I wasn't the best at that, and if I didn't get a chance to play professionally, nothing else mattered. Like I had no other interest. And I think that's just part of personality and complex is, for better or for worse. I'm very in the moment, and I'm very driven to do the things that I love to do. I've, for whatever reason, been that way my entire life, like to the point of probably unhealthy obsession of like how much I go after something that I want. And I'm not, that's just me. I think it's affected
Well, it
me in
seems
parts
to
of
have worked out for you. I think you're doing pretty damn well.
Yeah. And, the paintball regard for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as I've gotten older, I've realized balance is super important. Like going back to what we were talking about earlier, because too much is too much of something and can definitely, leave holes elsewhere that, definitely sometimes need to be filled and are painful to fill later on in life.
Yeah.
But
that's a huge, No,
go ahead, Tyler.
It's a huge subject. It's just a huge subject topic that you're hitting on there. You invest. It's like maybe a parent that works insanely hard and then never sees their children. It's like, you're filling this avenue and all these things, but then maybe there's some things that you're missing, and I think that you're hitting on it. There's like too much of anything is almost a bad thing. You have to have balance, and you can't get too deep into anything. You have to stay balanced with all the different levels of life, because there's so many different things going on in life, on personal, business, and with friends, and all the different things. But it's a really hard thing to juggle, and I think it's a pretty common thing that all of us go through trying to navigate, which is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
You
definitely hit it on the head. So yeah, man. The where was I?
I think we were entering your time with Wrecking Crew. I think we're in 2010, getting into where things really started to take off for you, heading into that 2012 season with the Ironman, which I think was your first season with them, right?
It was, yeah. So it's funny story leading up to that. 2009, it's pretty lackluster, but I feel those were my formative years of just being around professionals on a regular basis, and got to learn a lot. And towards the end of 2009, I have to give 3 people props, and actually, Marcelo, you're one of them. I wouldn't say it wasn't as involved as the other ones, but it was definitely something that resonated with me, because we had a conversation about just losing weight and stuff, and you had mentioned something in passing, and I'm like, oh shit, cool. Don't know if you even remember. It was like just one of, like you have conversations sometimes at the field, and you say something, and then you're on to the next thing. You don't really put much weight on it, but you never know how much impact that could have for somebody else.
Rod, I don't know if you remember this, but when I came back to the Ironman in 2013, and this was after this was now your second season, you came onto the scene, you were known for running through the center of the field at that point, right? Like that was your specialty, and you were really good at it. Like you were a bowling ball. Skinny Kevin used you as a tool that would just kind of go clean up teams. I didn't recognize you because you had lost a ton of weight, but I don't know if you remember this part. You pulled me aside and reminded me of that conversation at Velocity, and I was blown away that one, it was you, because I did remember the conversation we had. I just, to me, there were 2 different people, that were standing in front of me, and seeing that was like, man, that's a huge feat that you tackled and accomplished, and to see you playing the way you were playing and also be teammates with you in that moment was really cool. It really was.
Yeah, dude. And no, man, that conversation, changed my life. And Nikki Cuba and Miko. I'm not really great at pronouncing his last name, Hutanen or however.
Hutanen, yeah, dude. Miko, man, love that guy, and Nikki, both such phenomenal people.
I remember, dude, because Nikki had always, like, he was the guy that I could go up to at any point and ask a question. He would run it down for me. And Miko, dude, it was tight. He was like, Arod, really fat, but you're really good. So you need to lose weight, and I think you'll have a future in this sport. Just dry cut. And
Really fat, but really good.
And I was just like, shit, you're right. And he had got me, him and Nikki had got me on like, you know, a meal plan and stuff. And I would semi-follow it, you know, because at the end of 2009, I think I got up to 260, 270. And I remember the turning point for me was I got shin splints like in the off season from like running and stuff. And I was just like, holy shit, this is the worst. Like I need to figure this out. And especially like when you have people that are at the top telling you this, it has weight to it, you know, like
right.
Somebody says you have potential, you know, you believe it, but when other people validate it, especially professionals, you're like, okay, shit. All right. You know, because I'm a constant overthinker and, you know, I, for better, for worse, probably don't give myself enough credit sometimes and work myself to death and then maybe work backwards. Actually, I do know I work backwards in a lot of things, but it's, you know, when you're confident in yourself, but you're also not overconfident or extremely confident, you're always second guessing and should I be doing this? Does this work? Okay, it worked, but will it work this time? When you have somebody there, it's like, yo, stay the course, lose weight. You're going to have a bright future. It gives you the most confidence in the world of like, okay, tight. This is something I need to put in this work to do this. Because yeah, it was weird. As much as I worked hard in certain respects, I was also very, very lazy and unattending to other parts of my life. So my personal health, you know, I would go to practice, do that, be sore, and then go home and play Call of Duty and eat Totino's pizza rolls on the regular. And it was just, you know, just overindulging, you know, very, very badly. So they helped me change that. So like, yeah, you guys, you know, the three of you helped kind of steer me in the right direction and probably saved my life to a point. Cause like being that overweight and just not taking care of myself, fuck, if I was still that big, it's bad.
What was one of the biggest things that you changed? Was it like, did you do some workouts or like, how did you navigate, you know, changing your body style to be a better paintball player?
To tell you the truth, I would go on runs and stuff, but I never was really big into fitness. I would do like push-ups and stuff, but the main thing was diet.
Yeah.
I changed my diet. I think my day consisted of, I wonder, I could probably go through my emails and see the exact email that he sent me with the meal plan. I don't know if I still have it, but I remember he sent it to me. But it was awesome. Like skim milk and cereal, like grains. So what I did was Special K in the morning with with skim milk. I'd have a bowl of that and then maybe some like fruit or something in between, and then like a turkey sandwich with spinach, but no like crap on it. Some more like another bowl of cereal and stuff, and then like another sandwich at night, or like, you know, cooking, you know, like chicken and rice and vegetables and stuff. So a very, very bland but effective diet. I mean, at that point, anything would have been better than what I was eating. You know, I was literally binge eating on like whole pizzas, like pizza, pretty much anything pizza related. Like that was my jam. So yeah, I was just,
I mean, I'm right there with you, brother.
Yeah. You know this, Whole Foods, 2 slices of pizza and kombucha.
Yeah.
So
dude, pizza
hell
game.
yeah, treat yourself, baby.
Yeah, man. So yeah. I learned how to find a better balance. And that's actually something I still struggle with to this day. You know, I've had my weight fluctuations from stress and just life in general. So it's not something, I'm not over the hill. And I don't think I'll ever be over the hill. I think it's a constant thing that I have to battle because just the way that my mind works, for whatever reason, whether it's a reward or whether it's just indulging through sadness or just indulging to indulge. But I do have an unhealthy vice when it does come to food. And I've recognized that about myself. And it's for anybody out there who, you know, maybe you do have something similar, the only thing I can say is you learn how to cope with it, but it never goes away. And it's just you're constantly having to fight and realign with it, you know. And I was fortunate that I was able to conquer that, you know, as best as I could at the time, and was able to lose quite a bit of weight, you know, in a year. So I think I lost about 90 pounds from like the end of 2009 to the end of 2010. So in about a year, 90 pounds just from, you know, kind of dedicating to myself. And I wasn't strict, but I just wouldn't let myself eat big portions. So like if I did eat badly, would.
That's so awesome, man.
Yeah, I would try, instead of eating a whole pizza, I
Good
would
for
eat
you,
half.
Rod. Yeah.
I mean, dude, honestly, it would.
And just know, like,
yeah,
paintball is amazing. We have a community that, like, we are rooting for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, the paintball community is such an uplifting space to come into because it helps you on so many different levels, mentally, physically, you know, with relationships with new friends. And I know, you know, all of us, our lives have been changed by paintball. And I'm sure there was people rooting you on in paintball as well, like you're saying, and supporting you. And just know, anybody out there listening, we are rooting for you. Like, we want you to win. We want you to succeed. So just keep fighting and keep working hard, because there are bright days coming for everybody out there, whoever's going through anything.
dude, 100%, man. Like it's
Yeah.
it's heavy when you think about things. And I'm sure that with every good experience that you've had, I'm sure that you guys have had your fair share of darkness as well. And I think everybody does. And it's just super important to put yourself out there. And somehow it works out to where you meet incredible people that really don't need to have your back. They don't need to look out for your best interest, but they choose to. And I think that's the great thing about humanity. You know, that's very, I've been very fortunate to have great people in my circle, you know, whether I've recognized it in the moment or not, but, you know, I've had amazing people, you know, have my back for whatever reason. And I'm extremely thankful. So
and when did I know Victor Gamboa is a part of your story as well. When did Vic come into the story? At what point? Because he's such a legend in Arizona for paintball and everything like that.
2015 actually is a very big reason that I even got on Dynasty to begin with after the Ironman. So
yeah,
and Victor's had my corner, and he's one of the best dudes that I know, and somebody I hold in high regard. And honestly, I think kind of like myself, he's misunderstood to a point, and it would be great if you guys got him on the podcast. You know, because I hear what people
actually.
Funny
he's
enough,
coming on.
all of a sudden, I see another name popped out here. It's Victor. Like, what up? Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Here's how we got him calling in right now.
Yeah. Actually, that'd be, you know, if the technology was there, it'd be cool if like you could phone people in here and there. It'd just be interesting. But
so I think that is an option with this platform. We're learning. Yeah. It would be kind of cool. Have people call in. We got to get fancy with it.
Or we can just have them on the phone and just put them on the mic.
True. Yeah. We could pull the old spick and span show maneuver and just get them out on the old iPad.
I know that you guys are heavy into Discord, which it sounds like is great. I need to get more into Discord. I'm more of a Reddit dude, but I think Discord is probably a great way to have community. But I was telling Marcelo before the show, like you can do a lot of this through Discord, and I think that you could get really involved with it, however you guys feel. But yeah, Discord's tight. I really need to I need to delve into it more, for sure.
Discord is the business.
Yeah,
it is so awesome. It has everything. It's so cool. Yeah, we've been building a great little community for all of our Patreon supporters. They have access to the Discord, and it's just an awesome group in there, man. Like they're talking about putting teams together to play different 10-man events. They're constantly boosting each other. You know, we talk about all sorts of stuff in there in regards to upcoming events and things like that. Dude, I'm blown away because I've been in a trading Discord with Kyle for a couple months now.
Oh, you're in there?
I never.
Damn.
Yeah. I'm in there
good.
too.
That's good.
and I never really understood all the features that you can use in it, right? And Tyler actually put us on with the Discord. Was like, dude, we got to get this for our supporters. It's awesome. They're gonna love it. And I was like, yeah, okay, it's kind of cool. I love it. I just sit there and hang out on the Discord with our community, dude. It's badass. It's like, it's so cool. So
it's the best ever. The Discord is popping off, and we even do like these little voice chats, or if a layout comes out, we'll just tap in with our community and talk with them, and we all kind of hang out in there. So it's been really special to build that up, and we're super grateful for everybody out there who is continuously supporting the show. Thank you guys.
Dude, Absolutely. Don't take that for granted, because I know it's the journey that I'm going on with music right now. It's amazing to have those communities and resources to have. Like, I've been very fortunate that I've had very successful people in music that I can bounce ideas off of, that I can either speak with on a regular basis or potentially hire and to have sessions to where I learn things very quickly. And Reddit, I'm a late Redditor, but Reddit changed the game for me of being able to deep dive into a lot of subjects, and Discord's the same way. So I guess it goes both ways, but yeah, Discord is an amazing platform, and I'm glad that you guys have had the success and continued success that you guys are having with this, because as I'm well aware of, starting your own venture is very difficult, regardless of the platform, and it has its own logistical things that you have to run into from time to time, actually all the time. And the fact that you guys are 90-ish episodes deep, almost to 100, I think, that you've been able to continue the momentum.
You're 90, bro. You're 90.
90. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, baby.
So the fact that you guys are able to do this, and that you guys continue to do this, like if I were up and coming right now, I would probably, because I've done the same on other podcasts for like producers that I admired, and just deep dived and listened to hours and hours upon references and materials. But if I were serious about paintball in any type of way, like, if I was coming up right now, I would just deep dive the hell out of your guys' shows, because what you guys are doing is you're literally cataloging the best minds within the game for everybody. And it's not, they don't even have to pay for it. They just need a Spotify subscription or whatever. And honestly, I don't think people realize how valuable this is. But it's worth its weight in gold if you take this game seriously and you want to progress. And by all means, like, if you have it, Tyler, you have a family, Marcel, you're, an owner of property, and, like, I know every dollar counts, support these dudes. Like, just because they're professional paintball players does not mean that they are loaded by any means, and they put a lot of hours and time that could be spent elsewhere, and time is extremely valuable. So, man, if you support these dudes, like, dude, support them. Like, if you have an extra dollar, send it their way. Like, they're bringing you literally, I mean, shit, they're bringing you everything that you pretty much need for the mental side of things to really understand the personalities of the game. So,
dude,
Arod, timestamp.
Yeah,
boom, timestamping that. Yeah. We got that. We're using that for a sound clip. That's going to be ran on Facebook ads. Everything. No, thank you, Rod.
Seriously, bro.
You guys seriously deserve it, man. And I think there's a lot more people in the game. I just, money sucks. It's a necessary evil for whatever reason. We could probably deep dive that subject, but you know what? Like, it's necessary, and unfortunately it's a means of survival in today's world. So the fact that you're able to get content, like, help these dudes out, even just by listening, and just, yeah.
Well, dude, Rod, honestly, we're stoked. We have some amazing supporters. We have great sponsors of the show, which has been so fantastic. And even before the episode, we were talking to you about different ways we can reinvest some of that money into getting better mics. We're constantly trying to find ways to make the show better, and to, bring on better guests, and to, like, continuously, paintball's amazing. We want to continue to bring, obviously, the top level paintball players, but, like, think about, being able to capture great minds outside of paintball as well. That's obviously something we want to be able to do for our listeners, because just mindset doesn't really matter what you do. Successful people all share a similar mindset. So really the opportunity is endless with Play the Game. And that was kind of the goal from the beginning. And we're incredibly excited to just continuously try to grow this thing. And the supporters mean everything. They truly do. And they assist in that journey. So.
And I just want to say one thing. We are so grateful for this process and this experience. I mean, it has been such a amazing time frame in the year and a half or whatever that we've been able to do this and just talk with everybody and connect with the community. The monetary means nothing to the process of this and what it provides to us as people and paintball players in a community. It's all for the community and for the culture. That's been our motto. So we're just super humbled by the whole process and super grateful to be able to even have this opportunity. And thank you, bro, for the kind words. It means the world to us, because we pour our heart and soul into this thing, and we just want to, we want to provide value for the paintball community and just keep boosting the paintball world to the moon. That's the motto.
No,
to the moon, baby.
You can definitely tell. You can definitely tell. And actually, just thinking about it, man, Play the Game is a really, really good name, because it's multifaceted if you think about it, and it doesn't just pigeonhole you into paintball. So I'm excited to see the endeavors that come out of it, in the future.
Indeed.
Yes, sir. It's going to be fun. We're excited. And we actually, we have Play the Game podcast, and we also own Play the Game Paintball. So we're excited for, just the future of paintball and podcasting and connecting with great minds like Marcelo said, and just having fun, and connecting with everybody.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, brother. All right, Rod, let's dive back in, dude. I love the sidestep and the tangents, but let's get back into some lineage of how you came to get into, your opportunity with the Ironman, become the known as a bully on the pro scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So end of 2010, I had gotten down. I remember the last WCPPL event that I had played. I didn't compete in PSP in 2010. I just kept it WCPPLs for whatever reason. Actually at that point, I remember why. Because between 2009 and 2010, some stuff had happened in my stepdad's personal life. He had met a new girl, and I remember she felt every time that he was with me, it would remind him of my mom, and she got really insecure about stuff. So, unfortunately, my relationship with my stepdad had dwindled, and ended up moving in with my mom. And she, funny enough, not funny enough, but I went from having the allowance to do paintball and do those things to basically having nothing. To where my mom was working 3 jobs just in order to put a roof over our heads. And I was playing paintball, but it was literally like one of those things, like I'd go to Coinstar this week to buy a case of paint. I would get like a side job for, however long to, get gas to go out to California. So it went from, the monetary thing basically vanishing. And I think also that helped me lose weight as well, because it was so bad, like I couldn't really afford to eat out or like regularly. So I'm actually thankful for it, because I went from like a meaty somewhat wealthy to absolutely like nothing overnight. And having to deal with that just like really, one, made me appreciate things more, but then made me start thinking creatively of like, well, how am I able to keep affording to do this thing? How can I stay at it? And I remember 2010 was an extremely hard year, just money wise. So I would flip paintball gear, other side ventures, and then things upon that nature, just to barely stay afloat. And I remember at the end of 2010, we had a practice up at Sacramento at Davis Field, Capital Edge Paintball Park. And we were playing like Fusion or somebody like that. I don't know, some divisional team. And it was me, my buddy, Brandon York, and then my late buddy, Zach Zerfus. A lot of people in the paintball community know him as Gator. Played on Wolfpack and stuff. And another buddy, Ruben Castro, who was on the team. And we didn't want to go home after this practice. We didn't want to go back to Arizona, and they all flew out from the East Coast and stuff. And we're like, man, we'll stay in California, but where do we go? And Ruben's like, I got a pad. So I'm like, all right. So we go down to Riverside, stay a couple weeks there, broke as hell. Like, seriously, just stupid broke. Like, luckily Ruben's family would feed us and everything. And just, I was thinking about it, and then it hit me. I'm like, man, I got an uncle that lives in Long Beach. I think he does like construction or something. Let me hit him up and see like if we can go work or something, just make some money. Cause like when I say we were broke, like collectively we probably had like $20 to our names, and it was just bad. But called my uncle, and he's like, yeah,
Wow.
you know, come on out. And he, I'd asked my mom, you know, I told her, hey, I know things are tight, but like I need to get out to Long Beach. I need to get an Amtrak ticket. So she sent me like $40-$50 for the ticket. And then they asked their family. So we went to Long Beach, and then stayed with my uncle in his studio apartment. So like I slept in a chair, and they slept on like some deflated air mattresses. And then from there we were working and stuff. And I'm like, man, California is actually like pretty cool. Like it'd be awesome to live it out here. Cause at the time I was still going back and forth between Phoenix and California. And so at the end of 2010, made a pact in like October. We'd all go back to our home states and then come back out again. And we would work and just get an apartment and just play paintball and stuff. And that was the plan. So went back. I came back, and I actually finally moved out. And for whatever reason, you know, for reasons of, you know, impregnating girls and other things, the homies weren't able to come out, you know, and they and honestly, probably for my homie Brandon, who has like the sweetest daughter Bailey, it's probably like the best blessing in disguise for him. So at the time it was kind of heavy to take, but like, man, she's just wonderful, and I'm glad that that happened, and you know, the route that he went because of it, you know, because I mean, shit, the gift of life and just having a family, even though if it's not with who you want to have it with, or just in the way that it works out, just the fact that, you know, and I'm sure Tyler, you know this much more than I do, just having kids, you know, it's amazing. Like I can't even think about it. Like it's mind blowing. Like
it is.
Just to
it's
have
surreal.
That, like
it's completely surreal. Yeah. It is.
So I came back out, and you know, I got down to like, I was like 200 pounds, played like the last WCPPL, and then it was like the off season. But then the wrecking crew like disbanded. Like there just wasn't any money. You know, people were paying their way, people were over it. And then going into 2011, it was weird because I had moved to California, and then just where I was at in Long Beach, I was just like right in downtown. People are familiar with the area between Belmont Shore and downtown, and I was skating distance from like everything. And I lived a block from the beach, you know, well, my uncle did, and I was pretty much just crashing his pad. So I'd wake up in the morning, skate, experience like California on the regular of just like going to the beach, hanging out. I got like a part-time job, bussing tables at a really cool restaurant downtown, and started to experience other things in life that wasn't paintball. And I was 19. Yeah, I think I was 19. I just turned 19. Yeah, 19. And then I was just like, whoa, life is sick. Like, this is like, I've never experienced this before, like being out away from my mom. You know, I was with my uncle, but he didn't give two shits. Like, he was at work and I had to go help him work, or like I would just be by myself. But it was like this kid in this amazing just situation of like being broke, but just having, you know, an awesome area to live and just experience. It was just mind blowing to me. And I made the decision actually. I kind of lost hope on paintball at the time, I remember. And this was also the time that I was getting into music. You know, I'd played guitar and stuff, kind of like whatever. But then, like, I remember I was listening to, I forgot who I was listening to, but I'm like, I want to learn this, and I learned it, and it felt so good to play. Like, it was like this feeling that I've never had before in my life, and I'm like, man, I gotta figure this music thing out. Like, this is dope. Like, I don't know what. Like, I'm in California. I would love to start a reggae. Like, there's all these thoughts that came to mind. I'm like, I want to do this. So I quit paintball in the end of 2010, going to 2011, and just lived life. You know, I got a job to make some side money, and then was just studying music. So pretty much everything that I put into paintball, I was putting into music, and just got a lot better at playing guitar, learned music theory, taught myself a lot of different things that actually really set a good foundation for me. And midway through 2011, I was doing my thing, happy as can be. Honestly, like I remember those years, they were like the greatest in my late teens, early 20s. And because also I lost a lot of weight. So, you know, like, was able to actually like start hanging out with girls and like actually forming, you know, those are my formative years. Cause, you know, growing up really big and secure and all that, like, just, I never had those relationships, you know? So I was actually able to start experiencing that, and it was a lot of fun. And then from there, I got a call from, actually, they play on DMG now, and I'm I don't really get a chance to tell them this. You know, I have this weird thing with like competition. And usually when we're ever like practicing and stuff, you know, like it's game time. So you never really let people, well, at least I don't let them know how you feel about them. But the Boyan brothers on DMG, super proud of those guys, man. Like, I don't like, they would be great guys to get on the podcast just because people don't know their story and what they put in to get where they're at. Those guys are the shit. And they actually hit me up midway through 2011. They're like, yo, bro, like, are you doing anything? You want to play this WCPPL? Everything will be paid for. And I'm like, I think I have a gun, but I don't really have gear. Sold everything. Like, oh, don't worry about that, man. We got extra stuff. So I went from, not playing paintball at all. And they hit me up, and it was funny because Rainey was on that team. Danny Park was on that team. Alex Gray, he played on Uprising for a little bit, but he was my homie on New School. We had a cool squad. And then like the NorCal guys, just Davis Ambush was the team name. And so they invited me to play this WCPPL, and we got shit stomped. And it was a lot of fun though. And it was really cool because, like, you know, I hadn't been playing paintball, but I was down to like 180. Right. So I was light as hell. Nice. And I was just, dude, I was running around like playing the snake, just doing all these things I've never been able to do. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. This is fun. But, you know, I had a fun event, but I was super stoked on what I was doing. So I was like, all right, that was fun. Got back to it. And the rest of 2011 went by just kind of living life, doing, you know, music stuff, but nothing of any profession, just really trying to cultivate. And then at the end of 2011, I would say like September, October, I got a call from Eric Humphreys. I played on Wrecking Crew with him, and he's like, yo, bro, what you doing? I'm like, chilling. What you doing? And he's like, man, come out this weekend. Let's have some fun. I'm like, all right. You know what? Cool. I'll have a weekend. And my buddy David from Ghetto Smurfs, he moved out to California at the time. Like, hey, let's go down and, you know, let's play a weekend of paintball. Turns out this weekend of paintball was a practice for World Cup against Dynasty at Camp Pendleton. And I had no idea. So I show up, and it's like, it's practice time. It's like game mode. And, you know, I'm kind of the same way now. When it's not like in season, or if I'm not focused on paintball, I'm completely out of the loop. I don't know what's going on. I don't follow the news. Like, if somebody tells me something, oh, cool. But besides that, I don't stay in the loop as well as I could or should. And I was the same way back then, even worse. But, like the Ironman was like the 2011, 2012 Ironman. So you had like Ryan Martin, LJ, Brandon Short, Kyle Spica, and other players. And that was the year Rainey. Well, I think Rainey came later on. I think he came midway through 2012. I think.
Okay.
And I kind of showed up, and I didn't really I had no intention of doing anything except for to play. Like, I thought it was going to be a fun weekend of paintball. So they threw me out there, and I guess I did all right. And Skinny's like, "Hey kid, you want to come out next weekend?" I'm like, "Sure, free weekend of paintball. As long as I can get a ride, I'm down." So come out the next weekend, had another good weekend. And then he's like, "Hey, so here's the situation. Miko might not be able to play World Cup. And if you'd like, we're going to fly you out to Florida the week early, a week before, and we're going to practice during the week. And if Miko doesn't play, you'll get a spot and you'll play with the Ironman Out Cup. But if he does play, you'll play with Shane's team, San Jose Royalty, in D3. Shane Pastana, for those that don't know. And so from there, I was like, okay. And at that time, I mean, it's like, well, why not? This could be fun. Because there was part of me that lost a lot of love for paintball for whatever reason. In that 2010 season, I was kind of burnt out, and I didn't really look at it in any type of way. I'm like, okay, I'll go and have fun. Like, we'll see how this, what happens. And went out, practiced with the team. Miko ended up playing, so I ended up playing D3, but it was a blast. Like, it was such a different environment, because now it was like, the game, I think the game changes every year. So that year off kind of was like coming back. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, the vibe's a little bit different. And I was, especially practicing with the Ironman, not against them, but with them. And, playing these teams with these types of players, I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I played D3 at Cup. And then the off season went by, and I didn't really talk with the guys much. Like, I was in the group chat, but sometimes group chats go quiet in the off season. And February starting to roll around, and Skinny hit me up, and he's like, "Hey, so you down to play this year?" And I'm like, "Actually, yeah, I'm down." And he's like, "Okay, so we're gonna give you. Here's the deal. You're gonna get a gun in event, and you'll get it at every event to sell. You have a gun to use the entire time, and whatever equipment you need." So I was like, all right, tight. And he was like, "Are you good on a ride?" And I'm like, "I don't have a car, but I'll take the train if I need to, or the Greyhound." So what I would do is, just take the Greyhound down, the Amtrak down, or whatever I need to do to get down to practice. And started practicing for the 2012 season, and then really was like, okay, this is tight, because I went from being an overweight kid playing to, like, I was a lot lighter on my feet and competing, and I was just like, this is sick. Like, I'm like, it's like I leveled up. Like, I was always competitive, but I was really big. But now it's like
Big time.
Yeah. And it was like, my gun skills and stuff, I was just like, damn, it was kind of this weird thing of like, because I put so much work in, like I'd done one ball snapping and dodgeball so many times that like I had good gun skills, but then doing it against the best players in the world and usually coming out on top, I had this confidence, especially since I lost a lot of weight. I'm like, damn, dude, I think I can be really good at this. Like, I think I can really do something special here, just for me, if anything. But, so I was I was really excited about it. And, the fact that I was getting paid in guns to play paintball, and it wasn't a headache. It was like, I didn't have to sign anything. It was, a word of mouth agreement, and the team was cool. I was the youngest, so being around like Paxson and Short and all those guys, there's definitely some colorful stories there, especially after tournaments. But it was like this cool thing of like, man, I'm learning from all these guys that are older than me, and I get to see these things about where they're at in their life, and, kind of not only just through paintball, but just like off the field, like experiencing life in a very, very cool way. So
Yeah, it's a
I was like,
brotherhood or a sisterhood, however you want to put it. For all the ladies out there that have teams,
yeah,
it's you get to bounce off of each other and really see an inside scoop of other people's lives, which is we don't typically in business or in the normal rigmarole of life, you don't really get those big inside scoops on what everybody's doing in their lives. But when you're a part of a team and a paintball team in particular, you get to really see what's going on with everybody, which is cool.
oh yeah. I mean, you're
Yeah.
not. I mean, I think we've all worked regular jobs, and it's like you're not going to rip it with your coworkers most of the time after your shift's done, and
Yeah.
just traveling to other states and sometimes other countries. Dude,
Yeah.
it's unreal what we do, and
It is.
yeah. So 2012, like you said earlier, Skinny picked me up to be a missile.
Yep.
Just send it, and um,
This
I didn't get.
actually is perfect because one of our supporters from Patreon was
Yeah.
wondering if his name is Stu704. Do you remember your first big signature run through the middle? And if so, what was it? He said that lots of his favorite ones were from 2014 Ironman days. So it's kind of goes hand in hand
Oh,
with
yeah.
this question here.
In the well, I guess he's not here to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was gonna say professionally or like just in general, because
Just your first big like run through the middle is what he's wondering if you remember that. Like when you first were like, okay, I can just run through the middle and get everybody. Here we go.
funny story.
It
about
wasn't that 2012 season. It had to be because I remember a big one that year.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, this actually could be something I wanted to touch upon. So actually, it kind of goes hand in hand. But what I used to do, it was weird how I came across this. But one weekend, because normally when I would go out and play, I wouldn't do open play. It was all drills. Like I thought open play was pretty whack and just it was, I guess, fun, but wasn't productive to me becoming better fundamentally. So I'd always work on fundamentals, but for whatever reason, this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I went out to Florida Adobe when I still lived out in Arizona. So this is before California. But I told myself, I'm gonna run through the break off the gate or run through off the break every single game. See what happens. And I did that every single freaking time for 2 days.
Whoa.
To where people knew that I was running through. They knew what the deal was. And then it was just funny because I'd get pummeled. And then I'd be like, oh, this guy can look at me. So I'd stop, do a little stutter step, shoot this guy. Then I'd run through and get smoked down. And then it got to the point where it's like I found my windows and understood how everything worked to where like, okay, so if I do this when this happens, then I can really start to cultivate these like run throughs. Just because I was never a snake player. I could play the Doritos, but the center, I've always had good vision because I was a really when I played baseball, I was a catcher and I was really, really good. Actually, like I was getting scouted at like 13. Like I could see the field in situations like really, really well. And that translated over to paintball to where it's like, okay, so you start in the back center or an insert bunker, but you have great field vision and you're just like, okay, you shoot this guy's shooting this way, whatever. And then you could break everything apart. And especially you run through all the time, you see those micro seconds, like everything slows down. You could see like, well, you choose your windows. So I remember that weekend was like, after that, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, like on the regular, like, if the opportunity presents itself. And then flash forward to 2012, I think, let's see, the first event was Galveston. I think I had a couple good ones in Galveston in that Phoenix event. I think the way that Skinny played me is I never started a match. I would usually get thrown in when we were down like 3 or 4 points, but that's when I would go off. So like I remember it was like against Infamous, I think, or whatever team, but we were down like 4 points and I would run it. Like I would just for whatever reason, just find the windows, shoot somebody off the break, and then just dissect it and do that. And it's just, I did it a lot in practice as well. So Stu, I'm sorry, I don't really remember my first big one. I would say the biggest one was probably 2017 with Dynasty. That was a good feeling. But
that was the big one, massive.
So that was, so that was fun. But besides that, I would say probably sometime in 2012. I know in 2013 I did quite a few, and I feel like earlier on in my career I did that a lot. I wasn't as well rounded as a player, and I was definitely a one dimensional player, but I was really good at it. But I don't. I mean, I still do it now, but it's few and far between, just because the game's evolved so much, and the reliance of just playing the team game. You can be the hero, or you can really be the reason why your team doesn't win a match when you choose to do those things. So I do see the opportunity a lot, but to act on it, I don't do it as much nowadays, just because it's not necessary a lot of the times. But
yeah, and dude, we've seen your journey through its entirety. So to hear you say that now, it just shows a tremendous amount of growth as a paintball player. Because you're right, it can and it does a lot win you these games, but then there's that microcosm of that small percentage where it does, have a kind of a catastrophic effect on the overall outcome of a game. And it's hard to juggle that, because especially a player like you who's reading things so quickly, to have the resilience to kind of not act on that is pretty awesome to hear you say that, because it is, at the end of the day, it's all about team paintball. But I know that if you take off, bro, you're getting 2 or 3 of them for sure.
But and I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the fact that, just you saying that, it's like, it's cool to hear. And
yeah,
that's the crazy part about this game and the level that we're at is, I might get 2 to 3 players, but if the guy next to me didn't know what I just did, and I drop a valuable zone, then you know what? Let's say it's a 5-on-3. I go and shoot 2-3 people. Then it becomes a 2-on-2 or 2-on-3. But the zone I was watching, a smart player is going to go there, shoot 1 or 2 people. So regardless if it was a great move, like it doesn't serve in the long run. And I think that's probably, it's one of the biggest things I'm learning on Impact, and I've learned on Dynasty as well. But yeah, I mean, sometimes actually the majority of the time, the flashy stuff isn't going to win. It'll win moments, not tournaments. And sometimes, like in 2017, it won the moment, which happened to win the tournament, but that's far and few in between. And yeah, you need to win little moments, but the bigger picture overall is ideal.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Sorry, Stu, I can't remember the first big one, but
that was perfect, dude. And then, so now I think we're in like 2013 with the Ironman. How many years were you with the Ironman?
I was with the Ironman originally for 3 years, but I played on 3 different Ironmen, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
First year was Skinny Kevin's Ironman, and then Hinman came towards the end of 2012, and then became the owner of the coach of the team for 2013. And we had players leave, and then we picked up new players, and that's when Marcelo and Mouse and Stephen Pitts and like McCormick, so like pretty much like Aftermath Cats started coming, on the team, because like Short had left, Kyle had left, I think some other players like quit, or I don't remember exactly, but basically the biggest thing was Hinman came, Mouse, Marcelo came. So basically at the time you had, the Ironman, Skinny's Ironman, and then 2013, Hinman came, and basically it was, Marcelo and Mouse were the big guns that came to the team. They had the most experience. They had won, they were the guys, right? So they were, Die as a company looks at, flagship players, that's their big thing. And, Marcel and Mouse were definitely the flagship of the Ironman in 2013 when they came over. So the dynamic went from skinnies and completely changed to something different in 2013, just because, the turnover with a new coach and, when you get those types of, players, like it changes the dynamic completely. So to me, it was a brand new team. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And 2013, I feel that for me was a big year in multiple ways. It was a great year because I feel like I was really starting to come into my own and I was getting a lot more playing time under Hinman. But at the same time, it was the year that jaded me to paintball. To this day. Actually, not to this day, until recently, but midway through 2013, and Marcel, if there's anything that you want to say about that season, definitely interject, because to me, thinking back on it, it was, like it kind of, you look back on paintball tournaments and it's like, yeah, you played on this one, and like the significance, that was the first year I played in Europe, so that was pretty cool. But besides that, it was just like the growth of like competing for me, of like starting to get the spins and making a name for myself. That's what I remember that year mostly for. But I don't know, what were your thoughts on 2013?
I felt that we had a team of a good mix with some experience. Paxton was still on the team, myself, Mouse, and a bunch of young, talented, really hungry players. I thought we could have won it all in a couple of years. I truly felt that way. And I remember seeing you, you were a bright spot, but I remember having multiple conversations with you about finding that balance, because we did still need to have a little bit of a game plan and control. And there needed to be teamwork in order to win events, I'm sure you remember we had countless conversations of, not always the haymaker. Like every now and then you got to throw a little bit of a jab, a little bit of a left hook, a little bit of a right hook, have more of that in your arsenal. But for the team, for the collective, man, we had so many weapons. We also, did we pick up little B in 13 or 14?
Riverside 2013. I remember it was the fourth event.
Yeah. Stephen Pitts. Dude, we had a team. We had a really good team. And my view of that situation was I was excited, and I thought we could have, and we did get, pretty close 2 years in a row, World Cup. We got third place back-to-back years, so yeah, my views of that team were high. My expectations were high too.
It was a great team. And I remember we got a bunch of third and fourths. Same thing with same thing with Skinny's Ironman. We always got third and fourths. We just never could.
Yeah, you're in the fight,
Yeah, I just never could get over the hump. And like I was saying, I think the biggest thing for me about 2013, and this is where I really, like I said, I became very jaded to paintball. Up until that point, when it came to like the arrangement as far as payment, I was getting a gun in event. I was fine with it. I was happy with it. And then the end of 2013, after the Riverside tournament, so the fourth event, I was approached by a representative at the time. I'm not going to drop names, but a representative died at the time who wanted me to sign a contract to, continue to playing on the Ironman and get paid. And this was after the tournament. And I remember like I needed to throw my uncle money for rent. I needed to pay bills and stuff. And the gun was getting withheld after something I've already earned. And it was a verbal agreement. I went down and was told, hey, this is a contract. I know it seems scary and all this, but, just sign it and get you your gun. And then, it's not a big deal. And I was 22, 23 at the time. Had no business sense whatsoever. Didn't know how the world worked. It was just like, oh, I sell these guns. I make money. Cool. Tight. And at that point, I didn't feel like I had deserved more. I was starting to be like, maybe, starting to earn it, but not much. Like I wasn't looking for a huge paycheck. So I signed it. The agreement was for like a year and a half. So pretty much the end of 2014 was the gun and event, but I was locked in and everything was fine printed with my signature. And at the end of 2013, I remember there was going to be turnover with the Ironman again. You know, Hinman wasn't going to be a part of the team. Shane was coming in, which would be the new incarnation of the Ironman, which I was excited about. But at the same time, there's just something that happened after I signed the contract that I wasn't very thrilled about. And then going into the off season of, you know, because that World Cup was heartbreaking, right? Like we were right there, and you know the team was changing again. And I had gone and played a MPPL or USPL, whatever the 7-man turned into afterwards, with Houston Heat, and it was a phenomenal experience. You know, I had a jersey made for me. Like I got to, it was me and Toke that went and played for them, but like how we were taken care of, and you know, I never met Mama D, but you know, like Randy, and just hanging out with like Ronnie and LJ at the time, who was on the team, Nick Slowiak, who was on the team. It was just fun, man. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And I was talking with Sarge in the off season, and was kind of telling him my situation, and you know, he extended an offer to me that eclipsed. And when I say like eclipsed, like I mean it, like completely. Just I would have been able to start, like I would have been able to afford life in California. I wouldn't have been bumming, you know, sleeping on my uncle's couch, going from making, you know, $6,000-$7,000 a year, or yeah, about that, after I would sell the guns and a couple clinics here and there, to 20 plus, you know, overnight. But the issue is I signed the contract. So I reached out to the representative at that time. It was like, I was completely honest with them. I'm like, look, I just got an offer to play for Houston Heat. This will completely change my life. I'll be able to get started. I'll be able to just, you know, get going. I was behind the ball. You know, I never, like I said, after, you know, moving back in with my mom, like I was poor, and I was still poor playing pro paintball. It's just, I had a couple $1,000s here and there, but you know, wasn't anything to build upon. And I remember like the whole tune changed. I started to get threatened. I got an email saying basically if I would like to do this, I either, like, there was potential, like I would have to go to court to get out of my contract. I would have to spend like $30,000. I don't remember what the number was, but it was somewhere in between $25,000 and $30,000 to get out of my contract for 5 guns a year. And, you know, I just, as a kid, I was just like, what the fuck do I do? Like, I was like, I wish I didn't get forced to sign that contract. I wish I wouldn't have signed it, but I didn't have anybody telling me. I didn't reach out because I thought if anything ever did come, you could just talk about it, you know. And then I understand, like, Dye is a company. They have their expenses. They have the way that they view things, and players are marketing resources for them to sell their product and to have a successful company. It's just like anything else in the world, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what it is. But I was disheartened because I learned real quick how it can be, and I missed out on an opportunity to really change my life. And from that moment on, especially the way that Dye had responded, I didn't want to be there. I was like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, these guys don't have my back. And I felt I got a quick dose of reality of just when business gets involved in certain things, how things can be. And it was a big learning lesson. So I finished out, you know, the rest of the year on 2014, but with them, but, you know, didn't have an opportunity to, you know, I missed out on something that potentially would have helped advance my adult life much quicker.
And I'm sure it changed the way that you know, the practices, everything was probably a little bit different for that portion there. And then, so after the season's over, you're out of the contract. What did you do next?
Well, that would have been after 2014,
Mm-hmm.
which it was 2014 was pretty much 2013, but with a new cast,
Yeah.
different dynamic, but still the same potential. We had the royalty kids come in. We lost a few players, but it was still the core, right? Marcelo had referred to Little B earlier, which is Brandon Cornell for those that don't know him as Little B. But he was
The bass god, right? Lil B, bass
Lil
god.
B, bass god. Yep. And so basically, Brandon was coming into his own. I mean, he was always sick. It was just his body that was kind of holding him back, but he started to really grow because he was like 15, 16. He was super young. Just
And
his mind
he always had
way
a
ahead
runny
of his
nose.
body.
He was like coughing.
Bro,
What do
the
you mean?
funniest thing is we were roommates first tournament Riverside, and it was his first time playing a pro event, and I remember I'm just chilling there and winding down and stuff, and he's like, hey Rod, can I turn off the TV? And I'm like, yeah, no problem, man. But what I loved about it, he was so respectful and just such a, like, I laugh about it and we laugh about it too. We actually spoke about it this last weekend, but how respectful he was of, just, he is the epitome of just a good person, right? Like there's like on the field, he plays with integrity. He handles himself in such a way, but he is just a good dude. And like, the future for him is just so bright in paintball, but just in life, man. He's like just one of those souls that is just like untainted. Like he's just a very, very good human being.
Little B is one of the best. Yeah, he's one of the best kids that I've ever met. I mean, he's a grown man now. I'm so proud of him, dude. It's funny. Because he was like the voice he used. I picture him. He was 16 years old. He was tiny. Had not fully developed, and now I think he's actually taller than me, which is funny. But he's a grown man now. But Little B is truly one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, and genuine. He always has been. But when he's inside those nets, he's not so nice. He really has a dark side that he can tap into, and that's why he's such a phenomenal player. Got a lot of time for Little B for sure.
Yep. So we had those players, and Shane's Ironman was interesting. Shane Pistana is one of the greatest to do it ever. Just not only for the way he views the field, but more so what he can get out of the player.
Yeah.
What he's able to do. Make you believe in yourself, make you really believe in just what's going on in the moment. But there was moments of that, but then I also feel there was moments of lackadaisicalness with the team as well. And I think, Marcelo, you can attest to it, to where there was somewhat of a divide to where we can never fully get going, just because the dynamic seemed at the time partly business, but then partly fun for some of the players. And it was interesting because we were right there on the cusp. And I think if we would have taken it a little bit more seriously at some points, and worked harder and just didn't have as many people as we had involved at some points. Like I remember there was a rotation at the World Cup where it was John, Paxton, and myself. And we were playing a back spot. And, this, like when you play every point, you get on a roll, even if you play every other point. But when you're splitting, you're putting somebody where you should be running that person almost every point or every other point, and you're splitting 3 points, and that's a heavy gun off the break. I'm not discrediting any of those players, but Marcelo, the difference of if you play every single point, the rhythm you get into, or if you're splitting time as opposed to every third point or something.
Sure,
and
of course.
There was just I think Shane was catering to a lot of different personalities. And I think when Shane came back, he was wanting to enjoy the experience a lot. I know he was a father and he'd been out of the game quite a bit of time, but I feel that we could have acted more serious on the team. And that's not to knock his coaching ability at all. Because like I said, he is one of the greatest to do it. It's just that year seemed a little bit more of it seemed like some were taking it serious and some were just there to have fun. So that's what I gathered from 2014.
You know, I don't. I got to push back a little bit on that, to be completely honest. But I understand why you felt that way, because you were struggling to find your stride with a starting spot on that squad. You were struggling to find your stride with like me, Mouse, and Steven Pitts and Shane. You know, and so I understand that to the fullest. John was a pretty good player. You know, he really was. And I remember the conversations back then were more of, and this is why I was always in your corner and in your ear of like, hey, Rod, if you can just reel this part of your game in to where we can trust you with certain game plans, there was no doubt that you were going to be on the field every single point. You had all the skill, you had all the potential and the talent. Yeah. But you also like to go rogue a little too much. And so it was hard for the team to trust you in certain scenarios, right?
Oh, for sure. And I'm not discrediting that, because you're 100% right. I'm talking more so like the nighttime activities, at practices with some of the players, but things like that.
But dude, that was so minimal. And honestly, to use that as an excuse to me is a big time cop out, because we had a massive core. All of the royalty kids, myself, Mouse, you, B, we were all focused and dialed in, dude. We didn't have any extracurricular activities. So to me, it's a little bit of a cop out of our performance as a collective that year. I truly think it was just a matter of time. I don't think we had enough time together. I think you give that team 1 or 2 more years together, and it's an entirely different story.
For sure, with any of those teams, absolutely. If there would have been longevity, I think, and I definitely see what you're saying with that. I know I'm just sharing my perspective of what went down. Yeah, but I do agree with just like if we would have had the extended time to really get it going, you know?
Yeah. And you know, this is something that we always preach as well, whether it legitimately has an effect or not, if 1 or 2 players on the team are not fully bought in, it always lends itself to an excuse. It always lends itself to, you know, a divide, or, hey, it's because of this, you know what I mean? So you do have a valid point there. And that is why it's so important for every single person on the team to be, you know, working towards the same collective goal and doing the same things. And you experience that on Impact. I know it for certain, right? We've experienced it on Dynasty. Ty, I'm sure you already in your short amount of time with Heat experienced that. When you have a group, in order to win, you need a group that is from top to bottom focused on the goal and all doing the same thing. So no one feels like they're putting in more work than someone else, but not getting a fair shake or whatever it might be. You want to eliminate all those excuses right away. And I say that to divisional teams all the time, you know, divisional teams that we coach. It's like, if there's a cancer on the team that would rather party or not show up to practice, no matter how good he is, they're not worth it, because they are hurting the team. So I definitely agree with you in that regard as well. I absolutely do.
Hey Rod,
seemed like you want to chime in,
I got to pick your brain on off the break shooting, and like, there's so many people that want to be good at off the break shooting. You're one of the best in the league at it. What is some advice you could give to people for off the break shooting, and how have you honed in on that skill?
Just get really, I mean, it's going to be very simple how I explain this, but the execution is what's going to matter most. But you need to just get so dialed in with your fundamentals and understand the trajectory, understand the timing of the shots, and carry that from paintball field to paintball field, like layout to layout, I should say. But to me, it comes naturally, but it's something I've worked really, really, really hard at. And the way I look at it is like, if I can shoot 2 people, I will. My biggest thing is I want to shoot 2 people off the break. So shooting multiple lanes and just working to achieve that. And I think that it's a very, like, I really don't mind sharing it, because I think it's such a simple concept that gets overlooked.
Totally. Yeah.
I think that it surprises me that more players aren't, because I feel it's a very simple concept of bringing your gun up quickly, putting it in the spot that it needs to go, and then changing it. Like, it's really simple like that when you break it down. But it, like I said, it's the execution. It's hours upon hours of practicing and setting up a target, shooting one ball with it. Like when I go out and do drills now, like I don't want to waste paint. I don't want to shoot a bunch. So I'll put a target, a very small target, on the other side of the field for a lane that I need to shoot. One ball it. And then once I get that down, then I'll do a burst, because as good as one balling is, I think you need to have control with the 4 shots after that. So I'll work my way up to 5, because a lot of times, I'm not sure if you notice, but when you see somebody play, their first ball might be on, but then the stream isn't, and then you have to readjust, or their first ball isn't on and their stream is. So when you can have control of one ball, 3 bursts and a 5 burst, then I think you're pretty chilling, because to get those quick shots, you have to hit somebody within your first 5 shots anyway. So
Absolutely. Repetition. It's a lot of repetition. Yeah.
You have to be a robot, strive to be perfect. And it sucks because paintball is not consistent enough to be perfect. So, and it's a good thing too, when you get weird paint that kind of flies all over the place, because that's a dynamic that you have to deal with, so that you understand how certain trajectories, are affected. Like if it's windy out, if you have a paint that, that's shooting from 290 to 265, if it curves to the right, if it does this, if it does that, if you break paint, just playing in all those situations and just understanding how to adjust your shot accordingly, just helps you in the long run.
Yeah, there's a ton of variables, and roughly we have like 30 to 45 more minutes. We want to get the entire lineage of your story, moving up into Impact. So I want to jump into like moving from Ironman into Dynasty, and then obviously, how that transpired.
All the craziness that happened afterwards.
Yeah. Let's get into that.
So Victor Gamboa, 100%, man, is the reason why I got onto Dynasty in the way that I did. It was the off season in 2014. I had left the Ironman because my contract was up and I had nowhere planned. And another thing, like with my paintball career, I haven't been afraid of leaving the sport, just because I'm so focused on like music and things outside of it that to me, it's just like, okay, if I'm not doing this, I'm doing that. And I was like, well, if this is it for paintball, then it gives me more time to just go full on send with this stuff. But so I had quit, and then I had met Victor in 2013, and we didn't really talk too much. He had flown me out for like a clinic here and there, and hadn't really developed a friendship that we have now. But I had talked to him, and just telling him like, here's where I'm at, and he had a good relationship with Yosh. And I don't know if it was by design or coincidence. I do think it was design, knowing Victor, but he flew out Yosh and I to do a clinic in Arizona. And I'd never hung out with Yosh before. There was always the mutual respect of when we would play Dynasty and everything, but never of like got to know these guys in depth. So we did a clinic, 2-day clinic in Arizona. I got to hang out, have beers, and just kind of talk shop. And I explained to him what happened on the Ironman, and he kind of explained what the vibe was like on Dynasty, and nothing. It was one of those things where I think we both knew, but didn't really say it like, hey, we should try to make something work, but didn't really plan after that. And then Dynasty was having tryouts beginning of that season. And this was after you guys had, the awesome success in 2013, and, with the new incarnation of Dynasty with you and Kyle and Shorty and everybody, and came out to tryouts and played well. And I remember getting the phone call from Alex. I was at this time I'd moved to West LA with my buddy Tate, who moved out for music. He was at a conservatory learning audio engineering. So I pretty much went from crashing my uncle's couch to crashing his couch. But, like I would throw him money whenever I could. And, we were just hanging out, and, we had great times in West LA, just living that life. And I remember I was in the apartment. Alex gave me a call, and in Alex's awesome fashion, I was like, hey, buddy, just wanted to give you a call and let you know that talk with the guys and want you to be a part of the team. And, we're super excited to have you. And, I was, he told me the arrangement, I was making a few more guns than I was on Ironman, but fuck, dude, I was on Dynasty. And it didn't hit me until that moment when he called me. I was like, wait, all right. I hung up with him. I remember getting the biggest smile, and I'm like, I'm on Dynasty.
Hell yeah.
Like, I'm on Dynasty, dude. Like, holy shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, it was unreal, because things don't hit me until they hit me. So it's just like, this is insane, man. Like, you start thinking about just like the lineage, right? And the same thing with the Ironman, but Dynasty just hit me in a certain way. I don't know what it is. There's just something about that team that's going, like, no other team will be able to replicate the dynamic that Dynasty has now. Like, just with Alex, Yosh, Ryan, Oliver, just all the legendary players that have played on that team, the successes. There's just something about the Dynasty, it's not even performance based. Like, take all the wins out of there. Like, that's the huge part, but just the story of just the players and just how they redefine the game. Obviously winning is a byproduct of all that, and I think allowed for them to do what they did, but it extends beyond that. Like, there's just something about the team. There's something magic about Dynasty. I don't know what it is, but I was super stoked at the time.
It's actually the people say there's Dynasty magic, and it could be a real thing.
Dude, real quick, because that's fascinating. When I played on the Russians in 2012, I remember we played Dynasty, and Kirill would always say, got to watch out for the Dynasty magic.
Yeah.
Like, it's truly a thing. No matter how many points teams are up against them, whatever it is, there was Dynasty magic. I mean, year after year after year, they have pulled out magical stuff.
Yeah. And we were stoked
now all three of us have been part of pulling out Dynasty magic now, which is so cool.
Yeah, no. And what's cool is, like, from top to bottom, it's especially the time that I spent on the team, like Tyler, yourself, Marcelo, like, we all stepped up in situations that we needed to. There wasn't, I don't remember playing with a player on Dynasty that never really held their weight, right? Everybody stepped up at some point, one point or another, right? Like, there was always, it was the first time of being like, I'm in with this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Someone's going to make it happen if I don't. Like, something is going to go down. And I feel
we
that
had some great times, man.
We had amazing times, man. And that's where I really learned how to play like the next level of paintball. Like, that took, like, being on Dynasty, super responsible for taking me and understanding the more of the flow of the game, instead of just being the go, 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 to kind of hanging back, communicating and relying. I definitely, it's something I still work on to this day, but I attribute a lot of the roundness and everything to Dynasty, and the players. Yeah, I think that anybody who has the chance to play with the organization, especially if you're, new, like, you will become a different player. Like I'm excited to see, like, Urina's future, because he's somebody who's always kind of been around, but not there, but he's starting to come into his own. And, like, I think that with his work ethic, and if he continues to be humble, like, if he continues down the path that he's going, he will be one of the greats, I think, one day. But he needs to,
he's such a good guy.
Of course. Yeah. But
shout out to Arizona, another Arizona boy.
But I don't know if that happens if he doesn't get on Dynasty. And I think a lot of players, when they have the opportunity to do that, Dynasty can really help hone, the fundamentals and the foundation to be successful wherever they decide to go afterwards. Dynasty is responsible for a lot of things, especially in my game. So I can't say thank you enough as far as the grooming that I got on that team and the experience with you guys and what we were able to do.
It was the best, dude. Seriously, so many fun times. And how many years were you on Dynasty? That was
2.5.
Yeah, 2.5.
2.5.
That's right.
Yeah, so from 2015.
Well, guys, maybe one day you'll both come back.
Yeah.
I'm going to be that pest.
There we
Be over
go.
here being that pest.
Yeah. But yeah, 2.5 years, won the World Cup. That was a huge moment. That was incredible. That was my first pro win, actually. And I remember that was just surreal. And then obviously 2017 in Vegas, that was, yeah.
Magic.
Those two, yeah,
Dynasty
those two moments.
Magic right there.
Yeah, man. And it was funny because after World Cup, I remember that was like a big check mark for me to where it allowed me to, I would still work hard for paintball and at paintball, but I was definitely focusing on music more. I was starting to really kind of come into my own as a guitarist. I was playing in different bands, starting to play shows like in 2016. And then it kind of got to the point where I was like playing this balancing act between doing music as a profession and then playing paintball as a profession. And it was this weird, weird dichotomy because the two worlds are completely different and the personalities and stuff were completely different.
But they kind of lend to each other. I think a little bit, I can see kind of your music and how it runs into paintball. Actually, this is another question from our Patreon. Shout out to Derek. He is wondering, does your background and passion for music translate to paintball? For example, like communication or recognizing patterns and finding the harmony in the chaos.
Oh, 100%. Music obviously is vibrations oscillating at such a point that it resonates and makes it makes a pitch, and those pitches are soothing. And then when they harmonize, there's a lot of dissonance in between everything, and that creates harmony, which is exactly like paintball and like the dynamics on teams. Because Marcelo, you are a particular individual. Tyler, you are. We all come from different walks of life, and we all come on and we play paintball, and we try to play music out there, and we all come from different walks of life and are completely different.
Try to play
in a
some
lot
sweet
of ways.
jazz.
Try to play some jazz, man. Some of the greatest harmony is within jazz music, but it's also chaotic. But once you get the ear and you understand it, you realize how these things kind of intertwine. And I would say, as far as like the approach, getting ready, doing your drills for paintball, you have to do your drills for like music. You have to do your scales, you have to get your fundamentals on point, because it doesn't matter what you hear up here if you can't print it here. Same thing with paintball. If you you want to shoot somebody off the break, if you want to snap somebody, but you can't do it, it's the same thing. So there's a lot of links between that. As far as like the dynamics, I will say paintball is much easier when it comes to working with other people, just because, things get emotional and stuff, but it's not usually due to creative differences. Now with music, you run into a thing to where it's purely made up and creative. It's like, I hear this in my head, I'm going to put it out here. Does this vibe, right? And like the best types of interactions with people or like with bandmates and stuff, is when you just jam and shut up and things happen naturally. But I was super fortunate early on in my music career that just the people I would be with would vibe. And then as soon as I started, there was a big point where a band that I was super heavily invested in, it didn't work out. And after that, it was like scramble ball of like, well, I'm a guitarist. How do I keep doing this? And then started actually working like as a professional musician, where I'd learn 30 songs in a week to play a gig. And then when I get home from the gig, study, play paintball the next day, go to a gig again, study and stuff, to where I was just like, this is horrible. This sucks. Like, I'm playing music and stuff, but you do it in a way that you're doing it for other people instead of yourself. And it becomes much more difficult because, music industry is rough. Like y'all think paintball has its idiosyncrasies, but you start getting into the music world and the personalities and people that you have to deal with and the sharks and just how much things are leveraged against you. And it's a mess. And it's actually brought a lot more appreciation for paintball. But there are a lot of, to digress a little bit, there are a lot of similarities between my approach in paintball and music.
Yeah. No, I love that. And how did like the aftermath transition come to be from Dynasty into aftermath? Just for the listeners who don't know how that all happened.
So, right before Chicago, whatever the third event was in 2017, I was heading home from a gig with my bandmate at the time, and we were at a stoplight and got rear-ended really, really bad. Like, went to the hospital, everything. My back was smoked. Didn't know what was going to happen, and I was in bed for, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks, and it was leading up to the Chicago event. And I'm like, I was telling the guys, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play, kind of a thing. If I do, like, I don't know how useful I'm going to be. So you guys had gone to Chicago to play Infamous or Florida to play Damage. I don't remember. It was an out-of-state practice, but I was feeling okay enough to go out and practice, and I wanted to get some field time. And Aftermath was playing down in Camp Pendleton. So I wasn't able to fly out to practice, but I drove down to play with Aftermath for the weekend. And we were playing the Ironman and just kind of went out, just got some field time, just took it easy on my back and stuff. And afterwards, I was approached by Mike Mesa, who was like, hey, you know, like, I don't know what's going on with you in Dynasty for this event, but like, if you don't feel 100, like, Mike would be interested in seeing if you wanted to play with the team. And spoke with Mike about it, and he pretty much broke it down for me and offered me, let's see, I think it was just to play that one-off event. He offered me $5,000 to play with him, which, you know, I was going from making 7 guns a year to basically that's the majority of what I was making. And the way that I looked at it, I was like, man, you know, because again, like, I'm in a situation where the majority of my 20s, I'm couch surfing, like, from one place or another. Like, I don't have my own apartment. I can't, you know, really get started on playing, you know, getting my life started. And I'm like, at some point, you know, I made the conscious decision of following my passion. So I knew that there would be some things along the way that, you know, like, I'm not in a way selling out and going corporate, you know, just yet. Like, I want to try to make a living off my passions. And the way that I looked at it was, I don't even know, you know, like, if I go play with Dynasty, like, am I at a point where I can compete at the highest level? And especially with this happening, you know, if I play this one-off event with Aftermath and make this money, especially after going to the hospital, I don't know what these bills are going to be like. I don't know if, like, insurance is going to work out. I was afraid, and I'm like, shit, this is an opportunity to where at least I can have some buffer if shit hits the fan. And it's for one event. And I did that for Chicago. And so that was my reasoning for that. And obviously it rubbed.
You understand why the team was a
100%.
Yeah, you understand why the team was a little upset about that, though, right?
100%, because, like, it's the middle of the season. You're going off, and, you know, you're breaking up a brotherhood, right? You're breaking up that trust that you have in another individual that you've pretty much rode the trenches with, you know. And I didn't do a good job when I was on the team of being together with you guys, right? Like, after practices, I would just go hang out with Nikki and Fran. Like, I wouldn't go down to San Diego with you guys, you know. I didn't spend the extracurricular time to really let you guys know who I was, where I come from, and, you know, see who you guys were. I didn't know you that well, you know, and that was my fault, you know. That was solely on me and the decisions that I made. But, you know, at the time, I was so busy with, like, trying to juggle that after paintball practices. Like, I just needed somewhere to lay my head and not have to deal with people, you know. And that was nothing against the Dynasty guys. It's just, like, I don't know if you remember, like, there would be tournaments where after we're done at the field, I'd go back in the hotel room and sleep till the next morning, like, when everybody was hanging out. Just because, like I said, my life consisted of paintball on the weekend, and then at night I'd have to drive back up to LA, do a show, get done at 2 or 3 in the morning, drive back down, practice paintball all day, do that again Saturday night, then Sunday, and then, you know, during the week have rehearsals, having to learn material for music. Like it was nonstop. So I, you know, just due to that, you know, I never really got to connect outside with the team, which is, you know, 100% on me. It's not on the team. You know, like that was my decision that I made. It's just I never did a good job of letting you guys know exactly where I was at with stuff. I don't feel like I was the most vulnerable, and you know, just the way that you guys could view it, I 100% understand it. And you know, especially if I don't let you guys in to what my circumstances are, you draw, you know, your own conclusions of like why I might be doing something, and there's a huge, you know, huge thing of trust that was broken, I'm sure, and just like, you know, hurt, you know, it hurt me, and I can, you know, I know that you guys were disappointed in my situation, and you know, or not the situation, but my choice.
Yeah, I mean, and you're a grown man, and you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, it's a hard, man. It's a juggling act, especially with the lifestyle that you're living. That's a very difficult thing to maneuver, bro. And who are we to tell you anything about your life, you know, and what you're going through? But it is definitely a delicate balance there. And then once you got onto Aftermath, that lasted. You played with them for a little while after that, right?
Yeah, I played with them for 7 events. So the remainder of 2017 and then 2018. And honestly, I have to give a big, huge shout out to Mike Hinman, because like I mean, that was my first time ever experiencing like making actual money that I could build for the future, you know, from.
Yeah.
And, you know, we set out to do something, but he really set the stage and the platform. And, you know, honestly, he did not have to do it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was passionate about something. The only return that he got was a pro spot. But I mean, that doesn't, for what he paid me over the years, like that trade-off, it like financially isn't the best investment. It's only for, you know, passion, right? So he allowed me to treat it, even though I was playing semi-pro, as like, okay, this is something that I can make a living off of, and still chasing music and stuff. But for the first time, like I was able to actually, you know, start thinking about a future. And it was just coincidentally, it was funny because, you know, I got into a very serious relationship at the time, a very serious band. Like we were very close to playing like a small stage at Coachella. Like things were happening, right? So like in all aspects. So it's like just this weird craziness of, all right, well, I'm super busy. I finally have money. Like I can start really thinking about what I want to set myself up for the future. And it was a great feeling, you know. It was a great feeling just being able to finally provide for myself, right? And be more self-sufficient. Because I mean, you know, I growing up, it's like, oh, pro paintball, Oliver Lang's making $100,000, right? I didn't know what other pros were making, but there was like excessive, you know, they were making decent money. And there was always this thought of like, shit, if I do commit to this, like I can make some money off of it. And then all of a sudden you get to the end of the road where you're about to, you know, enter, you know, this new chapter. And then all of a sudden, no, there's a potential of making it, but this is what you get right now. And then just with how everything happened with Dai, and, you know, just, it was this opportunity that I valued and I felt that I had to take at the point, you know, at that point in time. And it really helped a lot. And yeah, I played with them through the end of 2018. We got the pro spot. And then at the end of I remember in that off season, you know, I was so excited. I was super sold up, like, okay, this is going to be a crazy thing to do, but we're going in the pro league finally. Like we got the team there. We're going to handle talking with Mike in the off season about who we're going to pick up and just kind of game planning for that. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the year, or like right as we're kind of going to January and end of December, I think around the holidays, we get a message from Joey Blute. What are you going to do now? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, bro, just look at the news. Go on PB Nation and Aftermath. You know, Mike had his comment about, you know, Lee, you know, kind of stepping back from the team. And, letting the team kind of figure out how they wanted to proceed forward, and, John coming in, coaching and all that stuff, and kind of didn't see that coming, and kind of left me with like, well, the only reason I was here was for Mike and the arrangement that we had. I, it was a cool experience playing on Aftermath, but I didn't really have loyalty to the other guys. It was just, more loyalty to Mike, and with Mike being out of the equation at that point, I was like, well, what's my next move? That's when I reached out to Alex and the Dynasty guys. And then also Todd at the time reached out to me through Nikki and Fran about potentially playing with the Ironmen for 2019. So going into that year, it was more of like, okay, because I wanted me to sign a 2-year contract, which I was absolutely 100% not going to do.
Yeah, I'm sure you really wanted to do that after your last experience. You were like chomping at the bit for that one.
Absolutely. And I mean, in my heart, I wanted to go back to Dynasty.
Yeah.
Like I never wanted to leave, but I knew that I needed to leave to improve my situation in life. Monetarily. Obviously at the time, if money wasn't involved, I would have still been with Dynasty. If I don't go down or Mike doesn't do that offer, who knows where would have been. But what's up? Sorry, I saw you raise your hand, Marcel.
Rod, real quick, this is a good time to kind of, this is a good time to interject with a question from the Discord. And I know this is something that you've definitely wanted to clear the air with, and I think you're definitely touching on all of it right now. But one of the questions was, what is your response to a specific question? What is your response to your reputation for jumping ship? That's something that people talk about.
Yeah.
So how would you like to address that?
I think, my response has been silence on public platforms, just because there's no way of having a legitimate conversation on a Instagram thread or any of that. So to me, getting involved with something like that, I'm not trying to push an agenda. So I'm not trying to cause the fire and the havoc of bringing attention to me. Now, obviously, bad press is always good press if you treat it in the right way, but I never had something I was trying to push. Wasn't trying to push a brand. I wasn't trying to push myself. I wasn't trying to push an agenda. This is me figuring out my personal life. So all the hate, and believe me, I've seen it. I've gotten it sent to me. I'm well aware of what people say about me, but it really, and I'm fortunate that I have people that I can talk to about it and put things into perspective. At the time, Nikki and Fran, were huge people in my corner that I could rely on and speak with and talk to. And I owe a lot of thanks to them of being able to like help put things into perspective and just have the support from them and, just like the love from them. But honestly, as much as it's disappointing to see, you never want to see somebody like talk trash on you. It fueled me in ways, because I'm just like, you guys are wrong. Y'all don't know me. And honestly, like these things that you're saying, man, you say that to me in real life, it's a different situation. And, it's hard to turn the other cheek, but obviously it's easy to type behind a keyboard. But some people in this world thrive on chaos. And when there's opportunities for that to happen, they jump on it, like internet trolls, what people say behind closed doors, for whatever reason. It's just, that's what happens. And I think I was also extremely busy at the time. So like, I didn't have time to dwell on what other people were saying about me, because I had so much shit I had to figure out and focus on. Like when I say my life has been crazy this last 3 or 4 years, it's been absolutely nuts. But it's been great. So as far as responding to all that, everybody has a voice. I encourage them to use it. But, I would be cautious if it's your intentions to be spreading shit like that, because you don't know if you say that about the wrong person, if it sends them down, if they're not as mentally strong. Like you can really, like I said earlier, you, Miko, and Nikki giving me the confidence in order to change my life, really helped me develop the next step for me. Now, these things, if you're saying that to another individual, I mean, you've had celebrities, you've had people commit suicide over one thing of bad press. So the fact that you find it within your heart to say these things without knowing where they're coming from, and the just the ugliness of some of these comments is just it's really, one, uncalled for, and two, man, I'm no one to judge, but you should really be ashamed of yourself if you're going to go that deep to try to talk about somebody's personality and kind of try to bring them down. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they have to do. So,
well, it says a lot about the individuals who do that kind of stuff too. It's when you're able to just kind of navigate without putting others down. I think that's always the move, right? Like your mama told you, if you don't have nothing good to say, just don't say it at all. Let's just try to be decent people. But it's unfortunate that we live in a paradigm that kind of stuff is accepted and almost rallied with too. It's it's kind of sick, but there's a lot of people that get off on that kind of stuff, which is really weird.
And you know what the thing is? I think the majority of them, to a point, are somewhat joking, right? And that's the weird part. Like Ryan the other day, I've gotten video clips sent to me from, when he's done interviews and the Spick and Span show, and if I didn't know Ryan, I would, maybe there's part of him that's being serious, but ultimately he's probably joking at the end of the day, just, for engagement and just, entertainment. But what he said, last week, dude, that really rubbed me the wrong way. And it's you continually trash on somebody and you try to, shit on their personality or what they do and who they are. It doesn't matter if at some point a joke, it gets old. Right. So at some point, I understand entertainment. I understand trying to get your, just viewers, doing your thing. But I feel like there's ways you can do it without, shitting on somebody constantly. And I could use this platform and really speak in my mind on how I feel about, Ryan and stuff, or people that I've seen make comments, or people behind closed doors that I know have made comments about me that act completely different to my face. But there's no reason to, because at the end of the day, I don't know why they're making those comments. So I don't need to defame them in any way or do anything, but
just take the high road. Yeah.
I just choose not to get caught up with that. And I'm fortunate that I'm really too busy to let that stuff get under my skin too much, Yeah. So I have a lot that I need to focus on.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we really try to push here, dude. We want the community to be building each other up. That's what the show was founded on. That's what we're here to do, is we want everybody to be boosting each other. It's a small community. We want everyone to be able to thrive. And honestly, that's the way forward. It truly is. We don't need to be tearing each other down. We could disagree with each other and disagree with certain decisions and conversations and things like that. That's natural. That's normal. That's human interaction. It's going to happen. Not everybody's going to always please you and do things that you would do or that you would like. But at the end of the day, we'll bring it full circle with the at the end of the day thing. We need to have each other's backs, man. We're all professional paintball players. And when you go outside, and we're all paintball players, and when you go outside to the non-paintball world, we are a group. They look at us as a collective. And so we want to boost that in the best possible light. That's the only thing. That's the only way forward. That's the only way that we're going to get. You look at skateboarding. Skateboarding had a culture. People looked at the skateboarding culture and they wanted to be that. We don't want people to look at the paintball culture and say, that looks disruptive and shitty and lame. That doesn't look fun. We want to be boosting each other and promoting each other and be shedding the positivity and expressing, because there's something unique about paintball players too, that I feel a lot of paintball players really do a great job of. They have almost this personality of trying to always find the bright spots and looking at things in a positive light. And maybe it's because of some of the things that we endure going to paintball tournaments, whether it's the conditions or sharing a hotel room with 4 buddies, or, struggling to pay your paint bill, like all these things that have definitely brought us closer and made us have a little more grit, a little more, of a positive outlook. Those are the kind of things we need to be boosting consistently, nonstop, over and over. And we'll say it till we're blue in the face. That's what play the game's about.
Yeah, baby. I love that. Hey, Rod, I got a question from Steve, from our Patreon supporter, and part of the PTG team. Steve is actually the man.
Steve's dope, dude.
He runs our Discord.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And
shout out to the moderators.
Yeah, exactly. If you could change one rule in the NXL, what would it be? And if you could pick one mainstream brand to sponsor and support paintball, what would that be?
So one thing that I would change in the NXL, might be an unpopular opinion, but I would cut the teams down to 12 to 16. I'd go back to single deck format. Really improve the like analysis in between games. Bring post production live, like merge that into it. And there's nothing against the lower teams, but I think in order for our sport to grow, you need to have the best of the best playing. And right now it's just on that center stage with 3 days. Like if you were to have the tournament be from Wednesday to Sunday, then yeah, we might be able to do it. But right now that we're only playing Friday through Sunday, time is, 72 hours is a lot, or not a lot of time to be able to really tell the story and broadcast the story. That's super important, And I think that if you go back to, you're just able to get more things across with less teams involved in the current state of the game. So that's one thing I would change about the NXL. And then I would add, they've definitely not really made as strong of a push of late for whatever reason. I actually have a buddy who's pretty tight with them that was kind of explaining some of their infrastructure, but I feel from like 2017 to end of 2019, even now to a point, but Red Bull, I think would be fantastic for our sport because of what they do with media outside of it, what they've done with other extreme sports, what they've done with especially music, like their production, like they have Red Bull Studios and they have these really, really great infrastructures that I think they do a great job of being a medium to kind of connect storylines and just viewability and making something like dope, right? Like that's one thing Cassidy did a great job of is he made paintball look dope. Kwitsky does a great job. We have some phenomenal media presence within paintball, but the issue is we don't have the audience. We have a very niche audience. So I feel that someone like a Red Bull that isn't manufacturing, they're not trying to really get involved with paintball. They're just trying to highlight and, show the lifestyle and, the segments that they do. I think that would be an amazing company to come into paintball to help support and grow without kind of stepping on the toes of companies that have been established in paintball for years and years. Because I think that's one of the big things that's kind of not holding us back, but I feel that as much as we want growth, it's going to break the establishment that we have now. And when that happens, change will be forced upon a lot of people. I mean, we probably won't see it in our careers because, we definitely will be playing for a while longer, but as soon as the mainstream catches wind and you have athletes and people that are wanting to really compete at this, and when it becomes to something that's super viable to treat as a living, you're going to get a much higher caliber of play and also support and also just evolution within the game. And what I think draws a lot of the people into the game right now is accessibility. You don't need to be an athlete to even play at the professional level. When I say athlete, I mean an athlete like a mouse or like a professional football, baseball player, when you start getting extremely,
you don't need to run a 4.4 and lift
No.
350 pounds.
Exactly. Which is the gun is the equalizer, but imagine, there is, and we're starting to come into it. There is a way to get into paintball shape. There's things that you need to be strong at. And once that becomes refined, once that becomes the meta, once you start having everybody abide by it, and if it gets to this super blown out proportion where it's like after school programs and things that other sports have, the competition level is going to rise tremendously to where I feel that the incarnation of the game that we have right now will, fortunately and somewhat, unfortunately, be completely shattered, and something new will grow out of it. But just with all change, some things are left behind and some things go forward. But that's I feel that's the route that hopefully happens, because that means that people like you and I, like us, 20 years or who knows, however long it will be, will not have to worry about, leaving teams in that kind of sense. But I mean, that'll always happen. That's just sports in general, opportunities and legacies to be built. That's just all a part of the game. But at least imagine D4 kid or somebody just playing is like, Mom, if I go, if I really do this, like I can make $50,000 my rookie year. Like, if you're in the NX, if you're in the NFL, if you're in
Totally
professional baseball, like it makes sense. Like, honestly, my whole,
what your minimum. Yeah.
My whole life on paper, man, I made some dumb decisions. If you look at it just like from setting myself up for my adult life and just, doing that, but I chose not to live my life in that way. Right. So those are my decisions that I made. But I think in the future, if there's a minimum, you can justify, making sacrifices, whether it be education, friendships, and all that, to really do this. Right now, paintball is a passion project for 95% of the world, maybe even higher. I'm fortunate that I'm finally in maybe a 1%. I'm extremely fortunate. So it didn't come without sacrifice, but it would be amazing if like what I make was, a threshold for everybody. It'd be really rad. But for that to get there needs to be change. The infrastructure really needs to get shaken up, and we're improving, but I think in order to view the game in that way, it will be completely different than what we see it as now. But that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right, dude. And another one of our supporters, Chris, was wondering the type of training that you do to make the crazy moves you do. And we kind of hit on that earlier. It's drills. You actually run through these drills. And like you said, you spent days after days of just saying, okay, I'm just going to run through every point, which definitely leads to having that skill set start to be nurtured there. So for that question, Chris, it's just running through it, I'm sure.
Yeah. And going to the gym is super important. I started adopting that when I got on Dynasty, late Ironman, but Dynasty, and then had some weight fluctuations just due to, just internal things and all that stuff, like 2018, 2019. But 2020, getting back on the Ironman and the arrangement that I had allowed me to solely focus on being a paintball athlete. And man, I was on a run until COVID happened. And then all the gyms closed down in California, and got other things happened, and kind of had some dark times during the quarantine. But, moving back to Arizona, like, the arrangement that I have with Impact allows me to justify spending time on focusing on my physical athleticness. And I haven't even begun to tap, I think, into my potential all around. I'm boxing now, playing basketball, doing cross training with that. I'm kind of straying away from like doing squats and like compound lifting to doing more plyometric training and
functional stuff,
functional things. And I'm really excited because for whatever reason, like before the first event, I had a weird injury, and then this event I was in bed for like 2.5 weeks leading up to this last practice. actually working out messed up my back and had to deal with that. But man, I'm excited. I'm excited to keep elevating my game. I think there's a lot of things that I haven't tapped into to make myself a fully rounded player, and I'm striving towards that. And I think that through this season and next season, the approach that I'm taking, I'm going to really elevate my game in different ways, just through physical, applications, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
But just time. But I mean, you guys know, you guys are athletic. You guys work hard. You're in the gym, you're training. And I mean, that's what it's about. Like, functional training is the best. Like, I don't really think you need to squat 8 plates in order to be a dope paintball player, but just being well-rounded foundation with the legs, explosive, really strong core, upper body, being able to hold your gun up for minutes at a time, flexibleness. Because what I'm realizing is, the more athletic you become, the quicker that you become, the more impact that you take from doing these things that you weren't able to do before. So injuries are a lot more prevalent. So you really need to take the time for recovery and stretching and dealing with those issues.
Mm-hmm. Right on, brother. Damn. Rod, we just hit over 3 hours, brother.
Shit.
Yeah, baby.
There's a lot of information, a lot of nuggets in that one. You've had a hell of a journey, dude. You really have. And for the listeners, like, seeing you the last couple of events, even with the Ironman in 2020, the way you have already transformed your body into being the type of paintball player you are should be inspiring to a lot of people. That was, what I was referring to in the beginning. It's possible. And I think it's allowed you to do great things on the field. You were always a really good player, but I definitely think your ability to move around and take the moves a little quicker, the moves that you see, has definitely transcended your game. So seeing you take that athletic ability to another level is going to be fun to watch. However, if you want it on the basketball court, guarantee you can come get it anytime you want. We can play some one-on-one with a little 3-point shootout. It'll be a good time.
Oh, bro, it's not even a like I would at this point where I'm at, I'd learn from you. So I'd be the student. I ain't even tripping on that, man. I just want to learn.
It's a fun game.
It's a fun game. It's an amazing game, dude. I never gave it its due. Like growing up, just dude, it's the shit. Who's inspiring me is Kyrie Irving, dude. His handling ability is ridiculous, man. Like, could you imagine? Could you imagine those type of handles? Like, yeah, Steph, like developing those handles and like footwork, applying it over to paintball in certain ways of just like moves and just, man, my mind's working.
Dude, you could toss your gun back and forth, like shoot people with one hand, toss the gun back, shoot it with it.
Here's some nerdy stuff for you. So any gun developers out there, I'm going to talk to Planet Eclipse about it, but I don't know. We're at the point where I think everybody needs to push the envelope. So I ain't worried about it.
Nice.
But could you imagine? So I do a lot of drum programming. So a lot of like finger drumming on like what are called drum controllers. And it's all MIDI messages. So a lot of jargon. But basically what it is velocity sensitive pads that you strike. And, you can get different velocities. Like if you were to hit a hi-hat, pluck a guitar string, you get different rates of velocity and volume. Could you imagine if paintball guns were developed to where you had a threshold, 300 feet per second, 295, whatever, but then you had an application to where you touched, like a sensor, like a pad or a sensor, and however much weight you placed upon it had a threshold of like 15 balls per second, to where when you press that in, you could get drop shots to where you're shooting 290, you put pressure on this and it drops down to like 270. So that way you can get more innovative with your shooting off the break, shooting cross field, stuff like that. Because I haven't.
That'd be sick.
That'd be dope. And I think it's 2021. I think that the resources are available, and it's really not. It's obviously the engineering of it will be difficult, but like the technology is there, and I think we need to keep thinking of ways to keep expanding and improving, like the equipment that we use. To where it's more functional and allows us to develop the game. Like, could you imagine if you were playing a team and they had these things to where it's like, like some layouts, it's really hard to shoot a corner. It's really hard to do this. It's hard to do that. But then, you can adjust it on the fly to where your off the break shot would drop. And then when you're back into it, you're back into it. So you have complete control to where you don't go over a certain feet per second, but you can play within a parameter of, let's say 30 feet per second. But
dude, that's amazing. I love that idea. That's spoken like a true artist. You're crafting and always molding and really just, applying yourself to thinking about how we can push the game forward and be super creative with the shot, which is really cool. I like that.
That would be cool. Man. Yeah.
That's
that
amazing.
Would be cool. Shit. I got carried away. It's 3 hours.
No, this is
man.
perfect, bro. This is what we want right here. This is all the juice. This is your entire story and your lineage of how hard you've worked to be where you're at on Edmonton Impact. You guys just won the last event, and it's been amazing to watch your journey. And I know you're just getting started, so it's spectacular, dude. And we appreciate every second that you've given us here, man.
No, I definitely appreciate you allowing me to be on this platform. Wish there was more time to go into the Ironman and Impact, but it might be safe for another day.
We'll have to have you back on and keep shooting more paintball talk for sure.
Absolutely, dude. I'm happy that you guys allowed me to be a guest on your show. So,
dude, the honor's all ours, brother. We can't wait to see you in over a week. We'll be out there in Philly, sweating our balls off.
Start hydrating,
because there's honestly still so many questions. The whole Ironman story was really cool. You going and leading those guys to actually Go Sports was just out filming our practice, and Miko was doing an interview with me, and he asked about what I thought of your guys' win in 2020 and was a surprise and all this. And of course, everyone's initial reaction is, yeah, that was a huge surprise. It shocked everybody. But then I said, but in hindsight, it actually wasn't, because if you break down the work that they had put in for that event, and that's always been something you've been really good at, is as soon as the layout drops, you're like glued to diving in. You put the music aside for a little bit, you dive into the layout, you work on all the shots. And I think you had the whole Ironman team really on the same page there. And then obviously going over to Impact, there's so many stories there as well. So dude, we're going to have you back on the show.
Absolutely, dude. Both those teams. I mean, Impact, this is such a great team. I could speak. I've only been on the team for such a short amount of time, but I could speak volumes of just everything. And, the Ironman team and the infrastructure, that was such an amazing experience. And the guys on that team, bro, man, sometimes you just got to be there. And I hope that when I do go into depth about it, I'm able to articulate what it was like, in that experience. So, just
you put on a show out there, dude, on that, at Vegas. That was a pretty spectacular performance. And I know that, a large amount of people tuning in have seen that tournament. If you haven't, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, the 2020 Ironman Championship that they pulled off out there with Alex. And then, kind of shocked the world. And you went into, it was a crazy time, right? I mean, with COVID, everything that happened. And then we're able to make the transition onto Impact. And it's been bright for you, and the future is bright for you. So we're super excited to watch your story continue to unfold into the future here.
Dude, I can't appreciate the words more, man. Thank you so much. And just know with the Ironman thing, that was definitely not all me. And honestly, when I think back on my performance, people stepped up. We just had this,
for sure.
We had a sick team, and I'm not able to do what I'm able to do without the supporting cast, and everybody gets to those moments just through a collective. And I wish that my story doesn't need to be so colorful and crazy and misunderstood. And I wish it was simpler than that, but life's not simple. And I'm just happy to be able to articulate it from my point of view. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong. It's just from me. So if definitely not trying to win people over, just kind of explain myself. And I've been extremely fortunate to do what I do and be around the people and the people that I've had in my corner. And, just moving forward, I think the future is bright for every one of us, if we choose it to be that way. And excited, man. It's going to be, bar any shenanigans happening in the world, man, I think we're off to a really good start after a very interesting year, 2020.
Absolutely.
Dude, it's going to be the Roaring 20s, baby, all over again. Let's go. Roaring 20s. We're bringing it out. Things are looking up. Things are brightening up. Things are opening up. Let's do it, man. To the moon.
Crypto to the moon, man. Let's all become millionaires. Let's do it.
Let's go.
I love it. This is not financial advice.
This is not,
all right, everybody.
Not at all.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Rod, thank you. Excellent episode, man. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Rod.
To all the listeners out there. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Right on. Later, Rod.
And just like that, another episode is in the books. That was episode number 90. My goodness. To all the PTG listeners, I say it every single time. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. We are so thankful for your guys' support. We truly, truly appreciate it. And just want you guys to know that we're going to continue bringing you guys the best paintball content out there. We are going to continue to just dominate the scene and bring you guys whatever players and outside people we can get our hands on. We're having a ton of fun with it. We love doing this, and we are really enjoying the process. You guys are building an amazing community. All the supporters, if you guys have gotten involved with our Discord, it is really cool what's going on in there. We're very stoked and very thankful for all the supporters and really enjoy seeing you guys build a play the game community. We want this sport to continue to evolve, and we truly love what's going on with the PTG stuff. So thank you guys so much. If you guys are wondering what we're talking about, you can head over to ptgpaintball.com, click the Patreon link, and check it out. Our website is brought to you by Rusty Glaze over at Concept Pursuit. If you guys need a website done, Rusty is your guy. He is phenomenal at what he does. He makes it very easy for you if you want to. You can either have him manage the website, or if you want to learn how to take care of the website on your own. Fascinating stuff. So, Concept Pursuit, Rusty Glaze, ptgpaintball.com. And again, as always, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in another episode extremely soon.